Of junk in your inbox. This one, not junk at all. 1620 the email. Exclusive content, contests, other stuff probably. Subscribe today at 1620thezone.com. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Back to feeling like fall Friday, mostly sunny, breezy at times with north wind gusting 10 to 20 miles per hour, highs in the low to mid-60s. Frost possible overnight with lows dipping into the mid-30s. Sunny to start Saturday with more afternoon cloud cover, highs in the low to mid-60s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time-Saving Traffic Center. Hope you're having a fantastic start to this feel-good Friday morning. There's no accidents or delays to report in the Omaha Metro, so your morning drive should be smooth sailing. You shouldn't have to worry about being late to your destination, but once traffic starts picking up, I'll keep you updated throughout the rest of the morning. Just be sure to buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
The electrical market requires your company to adjust to an ever-changing field. IBEW Local 22 gives you flexibility with access to journeymen, apprentices, and proven training programs. Call Bob at IBEW Local 22 for details at 402-980-7596.
Velocity Clinical Research in Omaha conducts clinical trials for investigational treatments and research. Typical studies involve medications for high cholesterol, diabetes, infectious diseases, and acne. Some current studies include low T, RSV, fall influenza, pediatric obesity ages 12 to 17, adult obesity, and asthma. Velocity also performs vaccine studies. Studies are medically supervised and do not require insurance. Velocity recognizes your time is valuable, so they offer compensation for study-related time and travel. Find out more at velocityclinicaltrials.com.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is always looking to make your game day bigger and better. Cheer on your favorite team this season in front of a 22-foot LED video wall showing up to 8 games at once. TVs are everywhere else you can look with a state-of-the-art audio and video system. Enjoy a big old pizza or award-winning char-buffed wings. There's just no better way to do your game day. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road. And for takeout at 162nd and Maple.
Husker Preview Friday is powered by McKinnis Roofing and Sheet Metal. Looking for trusted experts to protect and enhance your home or business? We are McKinnis, Nebraska and Iowa's go-to choice since 1981. For commercial or residential projects, trust McKinnis Roofing and Sheet Metal. Visit McKinnisInc.com today.
I'm Rhett Lewis with NFL Network now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Week 8 kicked off in Los Angeles as the Rams beat the Vikings 30-20. Matthew Stafford throwing 4 touchdowns. Wide receiver Puka Nacua returned after missing 5 games with a knee injury. He had 7 catches and 106 receiving yards. Fellow wideout Cooper Kupp also returning after missing 4 games with an ankle injury. He had 51 receiving yards and a score. Kyron Williams added 97 yards on the ground and scored on a receiving touchdown. His 10th straight game finding the end zone. Rams now 3-4 for the Vikings. Sam Darnold threw 2 touchdowns. Justin Jefferson had 8 catches for 115 yards. Minnesota, with a second straight loss, falls to 5-2. In other news, new Chiefs wideout DeAndre Hopkins thanked the Titans for sending him to Kansas City. Hopkins said playing for a contender, quote, takes your game to a different level. Head coach Andy Reid added D-Hop could make his KC debut Sunday versus the Raiders. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the
Hey, it's Josh Peterson from Unsportsmanlike Conduct, and we are taking the Grum on the road to the best concession stand in America. Join us at Roncalli High School today, leading up to their football game. fun, football, and a one-beer Friday. Not to mention food. It's Friday on 1620 The Zone.
Choosing the right candidates for any office can be difficult.
My office has lots of drama.
My office has its ups and downs.
I share my office.
But no matter what kind of office you have, one thing's for certain. If you're hiring, you need ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology finds the most qualified candidates for your roles fast, and you can invite your top choices to apply. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So, for any kind of office.
I'm really going places in my office.
My office has everything you could ever want.
Count on ZipRecruiter to find the right candidates for it. Try ZipRecruiter for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Join the movement to end breast cancer as we know it for everyone. When supporting the American Cancer Society making strides against breast cancer, you're groundbreaking research and patient support. Join the movement today at makingstrideswalk.org/Nebraska.
In Casey's country, people actually crave breakfast from the gas station. It's true. Because here, that means breakfast pizza with made-from-scratch dough, scrambled eggs, crispy bacon, and 3 kinds of cheese. It's not crazy. It's Casey's. And now, get 2 mega slices for just $6.
1620 The Zone.
Unfortunately, there's not time in game weeks. The opponents are too good in the Big Ten to have like these large philosophical, like kind of like what happened with Sat the other day. Like, I don't want Sat worried about the yards per play. I want him worried about blocking number 91 from Ohio State, right? So you have to be very in the moment. So it's, you can't really go out there and have these, hey, we got to fix it. You just go out there this week and say, hey, third down, then what are they going to do? What are we going to do? So I think we had a really good week. There's not a lot of time, not a lot of reps, but I think at the end of the day, we put last week behind us, we move forward and we get ready for this amazing football team we're playing and this amazing opportunity to go on the road. And yeah, they have no weakness. They have no weakness. Probably one of the best top 2 or 3 rosters in football. Great coaching staff, great schemes. So it's just one of those deals where you have to go play well. You'll start with the simple things we talked about all year. Like last week was the first week we didn't win the turnover battle, right? So it ends up the way it ends up. So you come back this week and you don't reinvent yourself. You say, hey, we got to win the turnover battle. I just think Ohio State's a great team. It's a great opportunity for our guys. We have a lot of really, really, really good football players. Guys are going to play for a long time in the National Football League, both seniors and freshmen. So you have a chance to go out and challenge yourself against the best and see where you are and develop it from there. So I don't think it's any one specific thing, Sam, other than you have to go play well.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
All right, good morning, everybody. A football Friday. The Fiesta is off and running with all of you. Nebraska gets ready to take on a 5-star factory coming up on Saturday at 11 a.m. in Columbus, Ohio.
That's what it is.
Well,
yeah.
Some programs can promote that. Others like to be that, find a way to achieve it. But Nebraska, 25.5-point underdog on the road, 11 a.m. against Ohio State on Saturday in the shoe. And who knows what's going to happen? Are we dreading? Are we curious? Are we going to hang around for more than the halftime? Will you be calling into Big Red overreaction at halftime?
Yes, at what point will we have the first caller waiting on hold until Gary and I hit the post-game airwaves too? What's a word for in between curious and dread?
Life.
I lie in between curious and dread.
Very curious tomorrow, but Nebraska is who they are, and the game will be what it is. I mean, the bar is so low.
Just play better
for
than
this
last
game.
week.
Yeah, that's why the bar is low, and it's kind of frustrating, but it's the reality. You gotta accept the reality of where Nebraska football is. I thought this would be originally a good measuring stick, but it's kind of like I've said it all week.
Different way.
Ohio State's going to take care of Ohio State. Nebraska's going to take care of Nebraska, and who knows what's going to happen, but just the the bar being lower that, man, you just want guys to fight and compete. I don't know. I have a problem with that, but I get it. I have to recalibrate how I look at this football team after last week. I'd like to see some progress. I'd like to see some fight. I'd like to see where you pay attention for longer than 13 minutes to the game.
Yeah, can Nebraska at any point in this game make Ohio State uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Can they make them uncomfortable? And that could come in a lot of different facets. Maybe from the opening drive, maybe Nebraska receives and somehow, I don't know, I would say a field goal, but come on. But somehow scores where all of a sudden Ohio State, for at least a moment, is having to play from behind.
We will have plenty on that game in Columbus. Don't forget, Big Red Overreaction. It'll just be a continuation of this show after the game on Saturday. But as we welcome you in, off and running, mornings with Sharp and Handley. There's Nick. You've heard from him. Jimmy, I'm Gary. We used to have this thing, speaking of Big Red Overreaction, we used to have this thing, and it was a sponsored segment that said refs need LASIK. And it would basically be we would pick what the worst play of the night was that involved an official. We don't have that anymore, but I'm wondering if on the Paul Allen Viking broadcast, they have that segment, and it would have been golden last night. The ref needs LASIK. We had a decapitation in the NFL.
Yeah, it was a very similar case, State, Nebraska, Eric Crouch.
And I mean, I think maybe it's a new rule that you can get away with a decapitation. I think it's kind of violent. I don't think that bodes well for the future of the sport with suburban moms letting their kids play. But last night, where everybody was watching, everybody's watching the Vikings and the Rams, and it was an entertaining game. By the way, the Rams won 2 in a row. They are back, baby. We had a face mask in the end zone where Sam Darnold's head got ripped around. The person that did it, you're not supposed to, like when you're guilty, not show that you're guilty. Yeah. And we have a lot of controversy this morning in the NFL involving replay officials. Welcome. But I think the ref needs LASIK segment should come back because it would have been perfect last night.
And that's not to mention also on one of the great highlights of the evening, the Justin Jefferson one-handed catch. Did you see the amount of jersey that was also? I mean, it's becoming a thing both in the college and the NFL game to where commentators aren't bashful about it. Coaches aren't bashful about it either. Now, I give the entire Viking staff, starting with Kevin O'Connell, a lot of credit for not dwelling on that particular play of that lost us the game. But it's okay to still be very upset that was missed. Because that's a first down that gets you out of the shadows of your own end zone. And I'm sorry, Gary, but when you have a guy like Justin Jefferson, you still got a shot.
You do. There's some things wrong with the Vikings because Sam Darnold may have hit an iceberg. The defense wasn't very good last night. Yeah. And Matthew Stafford just reminds people, why do people still hate on Matthew Stafford?
I don't know. He looks old, though. After the game, he's definitely starting to show his age a little bit.
Your beards looks kind of similar.
It's true.
He's a Hall of Fame guy. He
is.
239, 4 scores last night. He's got himself a Super Bowl. He was great in Detroit, got to the Rams, got a Super Bowl, got a better head coach. There's always there's this subtle little quiet hate on Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, I never get that.
And then in moments where he gets, people are like, he reminds you that he is a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he did that last night. I mean, I like Nakua. I like watching him play. He's fun. They got Cooper Kupp back. All of a sudden, they've won 2 in a row.
They're not selling now.
No, the NFC West
the division.
I mean, they got the best head coach and they got the best quarterback in that division. So they've now won 2 in a row. They're 3-4. But back to the call last night, is the face mask that is not reviewable, but it was a scoring play, correct?
Yeah, true.
Okay, don't they review all scoring plays?
Does that
That's what they tell us. But they can't.
It was a scoring play.
Yeah. Is it?
That's what I'm asking. It was
that's a good
scoring
question.
play.
They can review it, but they can't throw a flag.
I mean,
does that count defensive scores?
You've got, you got New York or upstairs in the official's ear. You mean they can't radio down? It just it shows
flag.
It shows a flaw. And again, it's going to get a lot of attention because that was the standalone game last night. There were a lot of people watching. Vikes and Rams. A lot of attention on it. It shows the flaw in replay that not everything is reviewable, but the face mask, which was a game changer, and again, a scoring play, is not reviewable. And I imagine we'll have some reaction to this in the offseason and maybe a step forward where everything on the field in the NFL is reviewable.
Just imagine what Jerry
Well,
Burns would
okay,
say.
so now you have me thinking about when there's actually just a safety, okay? Byron Young grabbing
Scoring
face
play, right?
mask. Yes. The officials typically get together and they discuss, was there forward progress to get him out of the end zone? We've seen that many, many times. That's never coming from above, though. That's always amongst the officials. So now it has me thinking on a pick six or any defensive, like a scoop and score, is that reviewable?
Scoring play, right?
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, it is a scoring play.
But I don't mean to keep repeating that, but I'm just saying
right,
that on
right.
a scoring, they review everything on a
If
scoring play.
points go up on the board, but if it comes back to, okay, a safety, for instance, you're looking for most times if that were to be reviewed, you're looking at if forward progress got him out of the end zone or not, not an actual penalty that was missed. What would have happened clearly is if this game was actually a home game for the Vikings, they could take a page out of the Texas playbook.
Yeah,
have your fans throw trash,
field,
and then all of a sudden let the refs get together and be like, I think there was a penalty. That's a good question, though. But you can't. But then you can't review it at face mask.
I mean,
call.
the thing that's unfortunate is after the game, by the way, the refs have had a mea culpa. You have multiple eyeballs that are looking right at the play.
Yeah.
And when a guy's head snaps around like that, I would think that there was a reason why. I don't think Sam Darnold immediately is it Beetlejuice?
I think
can
so.
spin his head.
Yeah.
Or an owl.
Or the
Not-
Exorcist.
When that happens, you're like,
How seasonal.
How did we get to that point? I mean,
They were both
seriously,
blocked.
You're looking right at it. So here's two other things that looking at that play. Now, again, the Vikings have some issues. I think their defense needs to be fantastic. Darnold struggled a little bit. They've got some injuries that are mounting. They are still 5-2, but they're slumping. And you're in a division that is the best in the NFL. Two things about that game last night. One, what did the state of Minnesota ever do to officials? Because look at the WNBA Game 5. The Lynx got screwed.
Yeah.
And then last night, for the most part, to finish the game, I mean, that's how you ended the game, the Vikes got screwed. So what did the state of Minnesota do to the officials? At some point, did they kick New York in the...
Are they not Tim Walz fans?
I was wondering who would go there.
I mean, 'tis the season. I don't know. We're just throwing stuff out there right now.
Exorcist, we got Tim Walz. It's all in the first segment.
I'm not walking away from that.
Stick to sports.
The other thing, so using your political jargon.
Okay. All right. I'll entertain this.
Okay.
Yep.
If that would have been the Chiefs that committed the face mask penalty, would you have said that the NFL definitely is rigged? Because it happened last night.
Oh, God, yeah.
It happens last night.
I wouldn't have.
And we go crazy on the officials for making the incorrect call.
Yeah.
If that's a Kansas City game, we don't go crazy on the officials. We're like, yep, the game is rigged. It's rigged for Kansas City. I just want to be fair here.
I wouldn't have said
And
that.
balanced.
But yes, that would have been absolutely 100% the narrative this morning. It would have been like, of course it's the Chiefs. Of course. Yes.
But
anybody else would get flagged for that.
He did it, and he let everybody know, like, you're not supposed to, when you walk away from a murder scene, you're supposed to hop into the white Bronco.
No, you do this.
You're not supposed to show everybody the gloves.
You walk like an Egyptian. You don't even care. You sell it. You don't do, oh, God, I grab his face, man.
So last night, the Rams beat the Vikings, and the refs need LASIK. Gosh, I think we should send that up to Minnesota. To the games are on the fan.
Yeah.
Let them know that would be a great segment to sell. And even an average Joe living in Edina might say, I'll sponsor that segment. We need to bring that segment back on Big Red Overreaction.
That is a good one. Well, especially the state of the officiating these days, too. There'd be a lot to choose from. What was the explanation that the primary official who should have seen it was obstructed, and the secondary official, basically, so it goes down the line, he was also obstructed. In this game of protecting the quarterbacks, how does that even happen? Especially when you don't have that much behind you to,
I don't know,
act as a deterrent. That explanation to me it's caca.
Okay.
That is caca.
You've gone strong in the paint today,
Yeah,
Nick.
that explanation is I don't honestly know how we missed it. We did, and by the time we realized it, we couldn't throw a flag. But how do we explain this? Just say we didn't see it? I mean, it's kind of a vague. I was obstructed.
Get Eric
but
on the show to get
that
his thoughts.
Doesn't jive because of the primary focus and emphasis of keeping the quarterback safe and eyes on them at all time to see if there's even the most egregious where you're tackling a quarterback that you can still call roughing the passer on. It just so happened in that moment where a guy essentially, they got decapitated. It was Eric Crouch, K-State 2.0, that not one but two supposedly missed it. They didn't have the right angle or they were obstructed to see that happen. That is unacceptable.
Yeah, we need to bring back, so Lance Kugler and Kugler Vision, which I am a client, they have been great partners of this building. That was the segment they sponsored. And so they're just not sponsoring that segment, but they're a strong partner of Energy Media. Actually saw Lance last night. So Westside had their homecoming. It was like celebrity row of dads that their son or daughter was in the homecoming court at Westside because Rob Zadiska's daughter, Piper, who is a great wrestler, she was in the homecoming court. And then Lance, I believe it was his son, is in the homecoming court. We need to get with him and bring that segment back.
So Westside was like the Great Western Forum last night?
Yeah. I mean, it's a show, man. It's a show over at Westside. Yeah, we need to bring back Ref Needs LASIK. Because last night, boy, he might have needed a full implant in that game.
I just thought it was kind of funny. And Mr. He keeps it real, but also Mr. Positivity in the Nebraska-Indiana game and Joel Klatt. Second quarter, I believe, where he just essentially said officiating in college football has been an absolute joke this year. Like, and it was just so matter of fact. He wasn't going on some diatribe. It was just part of the conversation that he just made sure he snuck that in there. So again, everybody's taking fire at officiating. So if there's a time to ever have a segment like that, my gosh, now is the time because everybody's embraced it. Hell, I think even some of the officials are like, yeah, we're bad.
Oh, do they? I don't think officials says that.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, they don't
I don't remember
enough,
Joey Crawford saying, I shouldn't have thrown him out.
I think they like their gig.
Yeah, they probably do. But when everyone else sucks around them, just
wait
don't suck as much.
I don't know. I agree with this philosophy. So if
don't suck as much.
If everyone sucks around you, it's okay to suck.
Yeah,
man, I want to stand out.
You blend in.
Well,
hey,
man, I'm better than you.
You stand out. You don't suck as bad. Wow. You suck to a degree, but you don't suck that bad.
I'm waiting for Higgy to call.
There's different levels of I suck at what I do, and you make sure that you're mediocre suckety.
USC have Higgy on today. He's a big fan of Ron Colley, and they're out at Ron Colley today.
You have a gorgeous day too.
Yeah, it's going to feel like football weather if you're headed out on a Friday night.
You guys had good weather last night.
We had fantastic weather for the 9 weeks of Thursday outside of the lightning delay opening week at Gretna. We had great weather.
Oh, wait, didn't you have a little tiny little lightning delay 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, only place in America that had a lightning delay was like a 4-block radius around the stadium we were doing the game. just delayed that 69-0 final.
Yeah.
All right, coming up on the show, the lineup brought to you by the aforementioned rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. There's a guy that's enjoying retirement. This is the usual Football Friday Fiesta lineup. Brett Ciancia stops by at 7:30 now. Everybody be careful here because Brett, who came to the Nebraska-Colorado game and he loves Lincoln, he will be in Columbus for the Ohio State-Nebraska game.
Oh, okay.
Good luck, Trump.
We'll get his perspective. He joins us at 7:30. Lee Sterling at 7:50. Mike Schaefer stops by at 9 with plenty of thoughts. And then Matt Verzal at 9:20. That is the lineup brought to you by the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard as we'll break down Nebraska and Ohio State. We went from 1 week comparing this season to 2016 to now we're comparing it to 2007. That's how things have changed around here. I'm not kidding.
No, I know.
I'm not kidding.
Was Indiana, Nebraska,
I know what you're getting
Kansas,
at too.
Nebraska?
No, it's the back-to-back blowout losses. In 2007, Mizzou and Oklahoma State.
I gotcha.
So we've gone from, 2016, they got off to a good start. They made a bowl game. Last time they made a bowl game, blah, 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 blah. And now it's, hey, look what happened in 2007.
Oh, gosh, I do
that
remember the
life
optimism.
of the roller coaster of a Nebraska fan.
Playing the role of Kevin Cosgrove.
Finally got a quarterback that's going to be drafted in the NFL and is going to go really high, too. Oh, boy. The optimism was, you could feel it. You could feel it. And then the first drive of the USC game, like, Well, that doesn't look great.
Yeah, I got people in the research department are going, hey, do you know what the record is for the most points allowed in back-to-back games by Nebraska? I'm like, I ain't got time for it. I don't got time for it. I got the World Series tonight, which does get underway in L.A.
Yeah, the piece of metal.
If you're going to the game right now and you're listening in Southern California, I would get in your car now. And make your way through traffic so that you are at Dodger Stadium for the 5 p.m. local first pitch.
You still might not make it. You might be too late now.
That's the lineup. We roll. We talk a lot about football. Interesting weekend in the Big Ten as well. And if you hate NIL, I've got a team for you. And it's not the 5-Star Factory that's in Columbus, which would be completely different if you hate NIL and you're rooting for Ohio State.
True.
All right. It is Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley.
All right, I would consider us all baseball fans. How much of the World Series you guys going to watch?
Every
I'll
damn
consume
pitch.
it. Yeah, I'm back on board. I got over that fast. Although a lot of the highlights that I've been watching
You
leading
mean
up
got
to
over last year?
No.
The Guardians.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks,
my
thanks
bad.
Gary. So you already forgot. Thank you. I appreciate
I
it.
thought we were talking about last year's World Series where
No.
very few people out of sight of Dallas
Sickos.
and Phoenix.
Baseball
watched.
sicko.
I enjoyed the extra sleep last year, but I'll be staying up for this one.
A lot of the buildup, though, is a lot of like the Judge home run off Clase, the Soto off Gaddis. Still hurts a little bit. So just they need to create their own highlights. Like Game 2 will be more exciting because they can draw highlights from Game 1. Then I'll be a little bit more comfortable. I'll watch it uncomfortably tonight. Yeah.
7 games, and then right after it's over, then the long winter will begin. But we will enjoy 7 games in the sun at night.
I hope Jazz Chisholm goes 0-4, though. I really do. When did he become such a complainer? When? Was he like that in Miami? I mean, I didn't really pay attention, I guess, in Miami.
A
little bit?
Kind of.
Jeez.
What's he complaining about now?
The strike zone. Every pitch. And, the thing is, the viewers, we got the benefit of seeing if it actually was a strike or not. And his success rate of arguing those is not very good. That's all he does.
So you're saying that if he was in the minors, his challenge
he would look bad, not the umpire. The umpire would be like, ha-ha! Ha-ha! Yeah. See, it's guys like that I do hope that the challenge system comes in. Because we talk about, hey, umpires can be held accountable. Yeah, there's some players, though, that do a lot of complaining. So, yes, Jazz Chisholm 0-4, 3 strikeouts would be cool.
I'm glad that there's no mascots in the World Series. That's what I'm excited about.
That's true. That's a good point.
No mascot World Series. Do you hope it goes 7?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Come
on, give us a good one.
We'll wait on a prediction, and people will be annoyed because of the money. But the NBA promotes their stars. Why can't Major League Baseball promote their stars?
Yeah.
And they definitely have stars. They got Ohtani and Judge, amongst others.
And people love the long ball, and you got 2 of the better ones, too. I thought this was funny, though.
People love the bullpen.
Yeah, well, that is also true.
Man, will there be?
I love a good bullpen.
Will there be at any point in the World Series that in the 8th inning a starter is still pitching?
Nope.
No, hell no.
Only on
Absolutely
MLB The
not.
Show.
Absolutely not. Why was this a news item yesterday of this just in? Dave Roberts says, no, not even a chance that Shohei Ohtani will pick up a baseball on the mound. I thought that had been long established.
No, because they put it out there that maybe in the postseason he would. So I think it was just asked again.
Oh, they were just reiterating, saying, hey, going back to that from the beginning. Okay. Yeah. That wasn't shocking, though. I can't imagine that they would have done that all of a sudden. Hey, buddy, go get him. Give us 3 outs.
Will he play in the field, though? Could he go out to left field and play?
I mean, he could, but just hit us some balls, son. Just hit a couple out. We'll be fine. Yeah. That would be interesting, though, to like, is he even throwing sides at all?
I think there was something like back in August, he has started not side sessions, but he's
flat grounds
like playing catch more.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, he probably doesn't have to pitch.
No. And this is the greatest baseball player that we've seen. So anything that he could do for you defensively, obviously, is going to give you a boost, especially in the outfield if they gave him a shot. But this season, what his role has been, I think he's overly comfortable with that, at least for this year. I don't know, changing that, does that take a little bit of the focus of what you're doing in the batter's box off a little bit, just because it's been a full season now of that role? This is where I really wouldn't want to change anything if I'm the Dodgers. So I would assume you'll see him in the batter's box, and that will be it.
Ohio State tomorrow is celebrating the 2014 team. That'll be fun.
And they're going to be mad?
I don't know. What? So Ohio State is the narrative around Ohio State is that they're angry.
Just watching Ryan Day's presser, I'm like,
he's just an angry guy.
Well,
yeah, it's true.
And there's changes. I mean, Nebraska will have some subtle changes. Have some couple of fresh faces that'll make in the trip on the travel roster. And I don't know if they'll play, but they've earned their right to travel to Columbus. But everybody's saying, well, Ohio State's angry. This is how they're going to react. Please, can Nebraska be angry?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can Nebraska not go, well, we're there to get our butt kicked. We'll just get in, get out, and then we got November. can't Nebraska be angry? I've said that all week. Why can't Nebraska be angry? Who did I ask yesterday? Oh, I asked Sip. I said, do they have in their DNA to be angry? And
that's a great question.
He kind of paused and was like,
No, I was actually like out of all the things we discussed here, that was like my favorite question of anything, because I think the obvious answer is yes, they can, but what does that even look like? Would we be able to notice that that's a pissed off team against a team like Ohio State that's also in their own right very, very pissed off?
Yeah, this will be a curious matchup with the two head coaches on the mental, psychological gymnastics of their team. Because, it feels like Ohio State and Oregon was eons ago.
Yeah.
So coming off the bye week, it's not like they got blown out. It was two really, really good football teams that ended up in a 1-point game. Now, the ending is going to stick with you. So I can see why you're angry. And there were moments in that game which Ohio State could have seized it and won, and they didn't. That's on them. Oregon on that night was a better team. But again, I keep going back. You would think Ohio State's 1-5. That's their problem. Nebraska's got enough problems. But Ryan Day has been angry and has publicly called out his team. So you get one of these, maybe you get 1.5 of these a year, where you get to play the public card of I'm gonna talk to my team through the media. So you have Ryan Day doing that, but you can't do it all the time, because if it doesn't pop, then you are on a lonely island. But has Matt Rule played that card yet? Or is he very cautious to play that card, knowing the DNA of his team? I think in a subtle Matt Rule grounded way, he has. We don't know what he's done privately this week, but you can't keep going to the well very often in terms of motivational tactics after a loss.
Yeah, I think there's no question there was a clear example of that in Columbus this week. But to the tone that Ryan Day has set to his team compared to what maybe Matt Rule has done in a couple of doses here and there, I don't think you've seen the all-out Matt Rule this year. All right, I'm motivating my team through y'all, and you're gonna absolutely know it. I mean, there were things in the Ohio State week where you could tell, and we experienced this, I think, a little bit with Bo, where maybe it's a reporter or somebody tries to ask a fluff question that might get a little bit of a reaction, like a funny reaction out of the head coach. And then everyone can kind of be like, okay. Somebody had messed up one of the names he was asking about, and everybody in the press corps laughed, and Ryan Day just had the stone face of almost to the point he kind of did he wasn't having it. I think that's a significant tone that his team is going to be taking from their head man. And
so does that mean they're going to run? Does that mean they're going to try and run up the score if they have the opportunity? And make this ugly?
Yeah,
Instead of 49-17, they try and make it 63-17.
Yeah, I think if there is, because this was the thing that actually surprised me a little bit about that back and forth as well. Somebody had asked the question, how much do you? Again, I think I told you this off the air. It was a weird. Just a weird exchange. They do things differently, and hey,
the hair dye
they can. Well, now some of the questions,
I think
the way
it's
they
just
went,
being the head coach at Ohio State when you're not unbeaten and you've lost to Michigan 3 straight years, and Michigan has a more recent title than you, and you have Urban Meyer that is out in front, and I mean, Urban Meyer is going to be there. They're going to celebrate the team, and they're going to go, "Hey, Ryan, how many national championships you got?" I think it comes with the territory. But if you don't like it, get out. And okay, that's being
what you
the
sign up
coach
for.
at the Ohio State University. You have to be able to handle all that stuff. I mean, it's like playing professional sports in New York. Once you go bad and they get on you, how do you deal with it? Do you crumble, or do you say, you know what, I'm built for this?
Or Philly.
Well, and what you just said there is a very
By
good
the way, you
reason.
can probably say the same thing about Nebraska. Being a football coach at Nebraska, are you built for this?
Yeah,
because of the gigantic fishbowl.
100%. There was a question that was asked about, do you listen and even consider what you hear from some of the outside noise when moving forward? Essentially, and the way that I heard that is, wait, are you literally asking him that in a Buckeye Jim who's posted on a message board that has a suggestion on how you should get pressure on the quarterback, that you might be like, oh, you know what? Buckeye Jim's got a good point there. Yeah, you know what? We might. But he didn't shoot it down. He said,
I think he needs as many friends as possible.
Well, there's that, but I think you also factor in some of the very public former Ohio State figures that have platforms like Urban Meyer that do talk about this football team, guys like Kirk Herbstreit that do talk about this football team. So as maybe some people would interpret that question as your common fan that is being the armchair quarterback, I wonder if Ryan Day thought about it as the Urban Meyers of the world, the Kirk Herbstreits of the world. But also to your point of, I'm in no place right now to criticize our fans because I am pissed off about how our defense played against Oregon. So I'm not all of a sudden going to turn that onto the fans. What I'm getting at is if it comes down to it on Saturday, which I think there's going to be opportunities, I don't think there's going to be letting off any of the gas at all. I think this is going to be a statement of a therapeutic Saturday that they're hoping to have against Nebraska, that any opportunity to get a chance to score in all three phases, no matter what part of the game it is, they will take that opportunity.
Speaking of scoring, I think one of the most important things Nebraska has to do tomorrow offensively is get Dylan Raiola a touchdown pass.
Oh, gosh. What has it been? 9 quarters?
So, when you have a game like Indiana, and you're the quarterback at Nebraska, so you get all the good and you get all the bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it just goes with the territory, man. It's pretty cool to be the quarterback at Nebraska. It's even better when you're winning, just like the head coach. Your parking spot is closer to the entrance. But so Dylan, there is some valid scrutiny of Dylan. There's probably some questions that you go, okay, what's he thinking? Has the game sped up? Has it not slowed down? Where are we at compared to the beginning of the year? How come he's not getting any help? Is he healthy? What's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
But so you have to own a little bit of that. And we've seen bits and pieces of some scrutiny of the quarterback. He's got to be better.
Yeah.
He's got to think quicker. He's got to get the ball out quicker when he has the opportunity. Instead of going for hard, he goes for easy. But man, just for him, where he's at, you can't go through the month of October without your star quarterback not throwing a touchdown pass. Even for the feel good, it hasn't been a great month of October, but at least I got one touchdown pass. Because think about it.
Yeah.
You can't have Dylan Raiola go through a whole month. Granted, it's 3 games, but that's 3 games in today's college football and not throw a touchdown pass. It might be very subtle on my part, but I think it's kind of a little minor important to have 15 at least be on part of a touchdown pass where it's in the box score and you're like, okay. And it'd be probably tomorrow for that offense to have a little bounce sooner than later.
Yeah, I hear you on that, because what you just said there made me think about beyond this game. And I don't want to do that too much, because as much as we look forward to our college football Saturdays, I don't want to jump ahead. But for this conversation's sake, if you were to lay out what is most likely with Dylan Raiola or any true freshman, if you're before the season starts, you're mapping out, here's how it could look. There was a realistic scenario where you start out with some success, either given your schedule or the fact that teams just don't have a lot of tape on you in that offense. And then as teams adjust to you, as different defensive coordinators, and as your competition improves, defenses want to throw different things at you. They want to try to confuse you, because as talented and physically gifted as one could be at that position, that inexperience is always going to be your biggest deterrent. And so it's what you take away from those moments when someone's throwing something at you, or you're just having a bad game where the timing is off, whatever the frustration. Are you dinged up a little bit? All those little things, that you have to work through. But wasn't it? Is it crazy to think that right now there's a little bit of a midseason lull for Dylan Raiola? I don't think that if you would have told me that, hey, this is my prediction, Dylan's going to have a little bit of a midseason lull, I don't think anybody would be like, oh, no, that's not good. But to your point about just having a little bit of success on the things that we know he does, because this is not a scrambling quarterback, a guy that's going to give you any rushing touchdowns because he's going to be a guy running zone read or anything. But what we know him to be is a good, skilled passer and a guy that can help that part of your offense too, and hopefully continue to take that to the next level as you continue to support him. What you do in the month of November, isn't that growth that you want to see of here's how you were when you started out, here's what happened when you had some adversity and teams threw some stuff at you and you just weren't in sync. You take that, you absorb it, and then you start to gain even more confidence where you're finishing that freshman campaign strong. Because not only for Dylan's growth is that important, but for this team to, again, at least get to respectability on this season, they got to have him right in the head.
You know what? I say thank you to Dylan Raiola for not being on a heater, for just a continuous 7-week heater, because it has allowed us to go, is this the game plan or is this the play call issue? I mean, you want to go deep on this because this is an incredible part of where Nebraska football is offensively. Tomorrow in Columbus will be the 20th game that Matt Rhule has coached. We are still having a friggin' conversation about what is Nebraska's identity on offense. It's game 20. Granted, last year it changed. Actually, I think Nebraska running last year's offense was a lot easier than running this year's offense.
And you knew the identity last year.
But you did because it was easier.
Exactly.
Okay,
you were limited.
You had no choices.
Yeah, you were limited.
You have way too many choices. You're not majoring in the major. You're failing in the minor. Okay? I know this as somebody. You get one major and you get about 3 minors. Okay, major in the major, but we're 20 games in and we're still talking about an identity. But I'm going to say thank you to Dylan. I'm going to write a Jimmy Fallon thank you letter. Okay? I'm going to say thank you because you have brought the discussion that was a little bit brought up yesterday. Not surprised. Rhule is going to protect Sat, and he's got to focus on Ohio State before he's going to go down that path. Is it a game plan or play call issue? I think that's a deep discussion about trying to solve where Nebraska is, and then you bring in the talent, and you bring in who is involved in the game plan, who is involved in the play call, and maybe we get to a resolution by next August when Nebraska plays Cincinnati and Indianapolis.
My feel for this, and to weigh in opinion-wise on that question right there that you bring up, it's hard for me to accept or to believe that it's a game plan issue because of the amount of people that I would think are involved in that on a day-to-day basis. That this isn't where it's just on the OC, where you've got Glenn Thomas, E.J. Barthel, Donovan Raiola, you've got Matt Rhule, you've got all of your analysts as well. Everybody that's involved on that, looking at the same tape, looking at the same breakdown, and being able to say, here's what we think will work, here's what we don't think will work. Coach, do you feel the same? Can you sign off on this? You sign off on that. It's the in-game flow where if there was anything that I could positively say about Marcus Satterfield, maybe didn't see it as much on Saturday because everything was just so bad. But even in Nebraska's more stagnant moments offensively, you've seen good designs. You've seen some things you're like, okay, but it's the execution of that. Now that's on your Jimmies and Joes, sure. But it's also, are you calling that to where the offense picks up a flow, where they're able to, you've got, whether it's your running game into a rhythm or you're not going 8 passes in a row, things that just seem to make more sense in the moment as opposed to in the days leading up to it. So for me, I think it would be the play calling in the moment.
All right, Jimmy's got an update coming up next. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Westside set the Class A record for consecutive wins last night. They shut out Papillion La Vista in the second half. Their victory extending the winning streak to 29 games, the 500th win in school history as they secure the number one seed in the Class A playoffs that begin November 1st with a 42-12 victory on a gorgeous night. Should be another good night for high school football tonight. A little chilly, but still not bad. Nebraska volleyball back at it tonight at home against Illinois and Michigan tomorrow. Creighton volleyball on the road at Georgetown and Seton Hall tonight and tomorrow. Nebraska ball returns Sunday with exhibitions against Doane on the women's side and the men hosting the Grand Valley State. Omaha hockey looks to bounce back on the road as they take on Minnesota State tonight and tomorrow night. Shout out Hayden Fox. In the NFL, an apparent face mask on Minnesota Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold went unpenalized late in the fourth quarter last night at SoFi Stadium because no official, so they say, had a clear view of the play. Referee Trey Blake told a pool reporter after the game such an egregious act is illegal in all places except for Manhattan, Kansas, and now Inglewood. Inglewood, always up to no good. Broadcast replay showed Rams linebacker Byron Young grabbing Darnold's face mask and throwing him to the ground in the end zone for a sack and a safety, giving LA a commanding 30-20 lead with 1:46 seconds remaining in the game. The game ended at the same score, and somewhere Jerry Burns drops 37 F-bombs. College football last night. Pitt says screw your sports broadcasting program to Syracuse. They hammer the Orange 41-13 at the Big Ketchup Bottle in Pittsburgh. And Old Dominion beats Georgia Southern 47-19. Tonight, Boston College hosts Louisville. UNLV hosts Boise State in the game of the night. At the LA Coliseum, longtime storied rivals Rutgers and USC match up at 10 o'clock. Big Ten grudge match. Anyway, nobody will care in the Southland because the Dodgers and Yankees begin the World Series tonight at Dodger Stadium as Bert Hooton and Ron Guidry go for the Yankees. It's actually Jack Flaherty against former Astros great Garrett Cole. In the NBA last night, played a total of 39.8 minutes in two of the Spurs' 5 preseason outings. Victor Wembanyama acknowledged the team's 120-109 season-opening loss Thursday to those bastards from Dallas proved a little hard conditioning-wise. He played 28 minutes. He finished with just 17 points on 5 of 18 shooting. All this, I was so excited to watch the game, and that's what I get. 9 rebounds, 1 assist, and a game-high tying 4 turnovers. As your San Antonio Spurs fall, the best they can now finish is 81-1. The Thunders beat the Nuggets 102-87 in Denver, and Gary's Beam team falls to the Minnesota Timberwolves of Omaha 117-115 in the game of the night, as predicted on this show yesterday morning.
Sorry, dude. I'm sure you stayed up late last night watching that.
So by the time I got home, I watched the end of the NFL game, and then I had the Thunder and the Nuggets on. Hey, Denver fan, at least you got one championship. That's a poorly constructed roster. I know it's game 1, but man, Oklahoma City, Boston, my prediction. Thank you.
So far, after 2 days.
Then I had my Beam team on, and that was a good game. Randall and Edwards were really, really good, and they had their shot, and I got excited about my final year with De'Aaron Fox. Shireman and Alexander, the two Jays, both made their NBA debut last night.
To your boy Wemby, by the way, Jimmy.
I know he's my boy now, but yes.
Well, he's a Spur.
He is.
He is pretty excited to have him.
I'm still excited to have him.
I get it that he's an
Chris
absolute athletic freak, but did you guys see he does lunges while juggling tennis balls? That's
what I'd call a freak.
Insane. Juggling alone is quite impressive. But being able to do lunges and not miss a beat right there,
you're right. We're not letting our kids grow up to be jugglers.
Nope.
What are we going to do on Pearl Street Mall in Boulder? We're going to run out of people that do weird stuff.
I know.
I'm not saying juggling is weird, but you don't really see juggling much anymore.
It's true.
You know what?
It's not encouraged anymore.
You know what? We don't see the basics of juggling anymore because people that want to juggle, they light things on fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Just give me some balls.
Yeah.
I like to juggle the balls.
You don't have to do the bowling pins to impress me. If you're juggling a tennis ball, I'm equally as impressed.
Just coincides, don't you think, guys, with the loss of the magic shop?
Yeah.
Like you'd have the balls in there under the cups, but then like the magician behind the counter would juggle.
True. It's very, very true.
And then it'd make you feel very awkward if you were a little kid. That was before.
Wait, do you speak from experience on this?
That was before. Well, there was a guy at Merle Hay Mall that worked in the magic shop.
Uh-huh.
And that was before you ever thought about stranger danger. And then if you're growing up in Des Moines, Johnny Gosh comes along, who got kidnapped.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I don't trust anybody.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But the magician at the mall was kind of like, he was really friendly, but maybe back then I didn't think being that overly friendly was
a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's like, man, he's really committed to the craft and being a good person.
Yeah.
He's interested in me.
Yeah. I've got to see Wemby this year in person. I got to go to Minnesota. I got to go to Denver or Chicago because I just got to see that up close.
Yeah.
Like Once I saw Ohtani, like to see how big he is,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. I think I have to see Wemby in person. TV doesn't do justice on like what an absolute unicorn that man is.
It was mesmerizing.
Because I want to look up to him.
Yeah.
I still do on the TV somehow. There's a few players that just everybody that plays professional basketball, obviously you are a very gifted athlete and you are very, very good at what you do. Otherwise you wouldn't be there. But there are certain ones that take it to another level of must see. They transcend the sport with their ability. And I remember this, and I'm not trying to compare him to Wemby, but when I was young and you would see someone that's over 7 feet tall, and you're like,
you ran into Rich King?
No. It was the Florida Beach Dogs and Manute Bol.
Oh.
Watching Manute Bol play against the Omaha Racers.
Rest in peace.
And I couldn't take my eyes off of him during warmups. And all he was doing is launching threes with the Maneutralizer.
Hey,
and
shout out
then
Don Nelson.
When I'd watch him sit down, I thought he had to be in so much pain because he was all bone, but he was so tall and you were just, my eyes and brain can't come together of what I'm actually seeing. You just didn't see people like that. Now to put the type of height, but then the skill of what Wemby has, that would be, even in my 45 years of age, would be probably one of the coolest experiences to see.
We're going to make the
guy
playoffs
play.
How
this year.
come we don't say that about Kalkbrenner? You know, Kalkbrenner, they listed at 7'1" now.
Yeah.
So he
7'6"
grew
with the afro.
Maybe his posture's better.
But the times I've interviewed Kalkbrenner or
True.
been places where, like, I know he's tall.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, you're around it a lot, though. Yeah, but you're around a lot of basketball players.
Like,
what's the difference between 6'10" and 7 foot?
Exactly. Kalkbrenner is tall, but like I don't know the difference between 6'11" and 7'1". Not there's much difference, but he's now listed at 7'1".
Congratulations. Grew an extra 2 inches.
I'm telling you, it's probably posture. He's probably doing yoga. Probably doing other things to stretch his body.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very
He's married
popular
now,
thing.
right?
Yeah. He's newlywed.
Marriage has straightened him up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you did there.
See,
I would rather take height over speed.
Yeah. As far as like witnessing in person, or just if you're building a team.
At the end of the day, I would like
Like
to
what
check,
you?
I would like to check in my pear-shaped body for somebody who is like 6'3". I would like to be 6'3", 6'4". I mean, I did when I was younger because my parents were not very tall.
You were 6'3"?
No, I wanted to be 6'3", 6'4".
What happened?
Yeah, I shrunk.
What the
Old
hell
age
happened?
has already kicked
Man,
in where you do shrink.
Jeez. That is a bitch.
So I bought into you could stretch yourself.
Yeah.
So I would have
Same.
I would have like my brother pull on my feet. I was so
Okay, I didn't go that far.
I told this story before. I was so desperate.
This is a first for me.
I was so desperate to be tall playing basketball
Yeah.
that I put stacks of basketball cards in my basketball shoes just so I'd be a little bit taller.
Did you ever roll an ankle? I feel like that wouldn't be the most stable thing.
I didn't play, so I didn't have to worry about rolling that ankle.
Just during warm-ups?
Yeah. I would really like to be tall for a day.
No,
Not
wait.
7'1", but 6'3", 6'4", I think I would blend in.
Yeah, even though the as I brought this up, I think in the crossover, I can't remember, but the average height for the male species is 5'9".
Okay, so I'm greater than the male species.
See, there you go.
There we
5'4" for the female, 5'9" for the male, which I thought was a little bit shorter. I figured
Yeah.
5'11" would probably be average. But I remember you bringing this up though the other this is a few weeks back, of what it would be like to just be the fastest person in the room. I still think that would be a lot of fun.
Just being fast.
Yeah, like super fast, like really, really fast. I don't know how many times I would display it, but knowing that I have that in the bag, that would be cool.
Party gets rated when you're younger.
Nick, you're going to get to see about 3 guys tomorrow play in a game between Ohio State and Nebraska that are rather fast.
But I can't be them.
It would be nice if Ja'Cory Barney was able to get out and be fast, not be fast in a phone booth.
Beautifully tied back together.
Yes.
Fast towards the sideline.
Thank you, Jimmy. Back to Westside. So Westside last night set a Class A record. They won the 29th in a row. The Bennington streak that ended last week to Scott of 46 in a row is a bigger deal to me than Westside, just because the competitiveness of B. Not going to take anything away from Westside. That's 29 in a row, and they're going to be the number 1 seed in Class A. And they're loaded. I mean, they not only have talent all over, and they play hard. They are really good coaching. But that game last night, and I hope people got to watch this on the
I did.
CW. That's the difference in Class A in that game. Because Papillion La Vista is a good football team. They are a good football team. But the final score was 42-12.
Right.
At one point, it was 14-12, and then Westside and Westside Fashion hits the X button. But that is the difference between Papillion La Vista is like in that middle tier of a good Class A team in this state, like with Elkhorn South and Omaha North and Millard North and Omaha Central. Omaha Central has gotten a lot better. Then you have Westside and Millard South, where when you play those two teams, and Papillion La Vista played both of them, you got to score. You got to score every time. And when you get in the red zone, you got to score. Papillion La Vista actually played Millard South probably better than anybody. And I would say that even though the result was 30 points last night, Papillion La Vista played Westside better than anybody. But last night's game kind of showed a really good A team against a extremely good A team. And that's the difference. And that's what it was last night, because the team Westside beat, good team. They beat them by 30.
Yeah, that was it. When I was watching this game, and I tuned in mid first quarter, and I think it was 14-0 is right when Papillion was going on their little run there. And that moment of the game, and I almost text you because I remember you saying yesterday you just wanted to see a game that didn't have a running clock in the second half. And so
you don't know how excited people were when it was 21-12 at halftime.
I can imagine everybody on that set and everybody that is in your ear like, this is awesome.
There was one of the directors was like, he's like, do you think this is going to happen?
At what point will we start seeing the running clock? Yeah. So, I mean, they get Warren throws the interception, and then all of a sudden Papillion comes out. I think it was the next play with that little trickery play. And at first there's a pass interference, but then the ball was tipped. And you're thinking, okay, that could have been a big moment. And Papillion's in a position to even try to take the lead, which would have, oh my gosh. And then it was third quarter. We're putting our son to bed, and it was still within a touchdown. I came out, and this couldn't have been more than 25 minutes. That all of a sudden I'm looking at the score. I'm like, what the hell just happened? Yeah. And it was like, from what the final score is, that was the first thing I was going to ask you is, boy, that couldn't have felt like a 42-12 game.
No.
Especially with how the first half was going. There was, runs taking place, but it just seemed like when Westside needed, I don't want to say they weren't serious throughout the game, but when things got a little bit more tense, they had that in their bag, which is just kind of impressive to have that. Warren, I thought, was really impressive to see after that interception comes back, looks good. Boy, that Tate Jenkins.
Christian Jones
dude can scoot a little bit.
Christian Jones played the best I've seen him play in 3 years at Westside.
Yeah, I found myself watching Nate a lot.
Because there's national recruiters that are in the ear of the Nebraska recruiting writers about, is Christian Jones really that good? Well, I think he rolled tape last night. Yeah, he's really good. That's the best I've seen him play in 3 years.
Yeah, he stood out.
He was everywhere. He's playing on. He played. He very rarely came off the field last night. He played offense, defense, and played on special teams. Tonight, to wrap up the regular season in high school football around here, Elkhorn North and Bennington play. Elkhorn North number 1, and our game on Cox. I guess I didn't realize this until this morning. And I should have known because Gretna was in B last year, or in A last year. Gretna East and Gretna play for the first time.
Oh, you guys get that one tonight?
No. And Gretna East has to win to get into the postseason. Gretna's already in. So enjoy the last night of high school football, and they'll announce the state pairings coming up tomorrow. Buckeye Jim has chimed into the Equitable Bank inbox, where they take banking personally. He said, guys, driving home to Columbus last night, I heard the local radio sports talk guys, probably on 97.1 The Fan. I wonder if he listens to Common Man.
Yeah.
I've known Common Man for a while. They were discussing the mood of the Buckeyes before tomorrow's game. The players, according to the radio guys, are still steaming over the loss to Oregon, and they plan to take the frustrations out and flush the toilet this Saturday. The Buckeyes will be angry and determined to prove something. However, the team also seems to be looking past tomorrow. The radio guys spent more time discussing the challenge of playing the Indiana than what to expect from Nebraska. Hold on. Ohio State plays at Penn State next week.
Yeah, they do. I wouldn't overlook that one.
My son will probably wear Husker gear tomorrow in the horseshoe while I'm decked out in scarlet and gray. OSU will be angry, and they will be determined. But I do think the Huskers may have a chance if the Buckeyes look past Nebraska and the Huskers play their very best. Reporting from Columbus, that's our good friend Buckeye Jim. He said, by the way, I'll try and find the fluffy machine tomorrow.
The flurry machine?
I think it's supposed to be flurry.
I don't want to know what the fluffy machine is.
I don't know. That's a convention, right?
Oh, yes. You did talk about that.
Didn't a baseball team happen to stumble upon the same hotel?
Nebraska baseball in Stillwater. We showed up instead of a swingers convention. It was a furries. Well, they just had over in Council Bluffs. They had the anime convention.
the anime one
last weekend.
Do you think there's some people that live in both of those worlds?
Yes.
Is there crossover? I'm not really sure.
I'm thinking there could be.
There always is.
I think there's a lot of confusion there. If you're a furry or you're an anime, I don't think there's crossover. I think there's separation.
I completely forgot to ask Coach Childress about that when we golfed that day. Was it Mike Anderson who went in and found it? Then
yeah, he comes back and he says, "Coach, we got a problem." He goes, "There's a furry convention going on in the hotel."
Van Horn's like, "What the?"
He's like, "God dang, a furry! What the? Is a furry?"
I'm just trying to imagine.
Promptly went out and swept Oklahoma State.
I'm trying to imagine the dialogue between those three coaches. Maybe more particularly between Coach Childress and Van Horn after discovering that part of it. But.
Hey, let's play a game here. So I'll throw this out there, and this is for everyone to play. You don't need a buzzer to chime in because something Jim had in his email here. If Nebraska plays their best tomorrow, this is just about Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
If Nebraska plays their best tomorrow, what's the score? We got to take a break.
Okay.
If Nebraska plays their best tomorrow, because I'm going to throw another thing out here. I'll make people think here. If you want to get in the prediction business,
mm-hmm.
Okay, if you want to be like Jimmy the Greek, maybe not fully. You want to be like Todd Furman. You want to be like Brian Edwards. You want to be like Lee Sterling, who is coming up in 37 minutes.
Nice.
The way to predict this game, what does the pessimistic Nebraska fan say the final score will be? What does the optimistic score going to be? So pick the pessimistic, the optimistic, or if Nebraska just does their job tomorrow, what's the score?
I like this game.
Okay.
Coming up in about 15 minutes, somebody who will be in Columbus, Brett Ciancia from Pick Six Previews. He will stop by. Busy slate of football. Will there be another undefeated team go down? And craziness tonight. The Rutgers-USC game has an okay lead-in, otherwise known as Game 1 of the World Series.
It's going to really take a hit for that Dodger crowd tonight.
It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Underdog Fantasy is the place to play if you're a sports fan looking to win money while watching sports. There's nothing better than waking up at 3 a.m. to see that you won twice last night. Yeah. With over 5 million happy players across 33 states and $2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on your favorite athletes' performances. With their pick'em game, you can win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on player stats. They've got all your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. You can create entries with all. You can mix and match across different sports. Oh, I'm all about it. All of it tonight. And you can turn your sports opinions into real money. Follow the hot hand or go against the cold one with partial picks and selections. This week, I already said it. It's all about the World Series tonight with a little bit of NBA with some of their promos they have going. That's because this season, Underdog will be running a special promo or bonus almost every single day. Like Profit Boost, you can pump up your winnings in just a tap when you apply the boost to your eligible entries. I did it twice last night. I got more. I like that. Discounts, you'll get adjusted projections on certain player stats to give you a better shot at the big win. And with free picks, they're basically a sure thing. A player just has to get higher than half a point for that pick to win, plus all new users get a free pick. It's currently Boost-tober from now until October 27th. That's Sunday. You can boost your profit on all NBA entries by 20%. Underdog is literally giving you unlimited profit boosts to make basketball picks. Download the app, sign up with promo code ZONE, and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code ZONE. Must be 19 plus in Nebraska. Present in a state where Underdog Fantasy currently operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
This week's Zone Deal is for Stories Coffee Company. Stories Coffee serves premium coffee roasted on site, also serves teas, smoothies, breakfast, and lunch. 7 local craft beers on tap and delicious wines. With this week's deal, get 5 $10 vouchers for only $25, a $50 value. That's going on sale today, starting at 9 a.m., and you can get all the details at 1620thezone.com.
All right, Brett Ciancia from Pick Six Previews will be in Columbus for reasons we have no idea why. He will join us coming up here in a little bit.
Got it in the eye.
Chris writes in, best case. So I said, give me your pessimistic and your optimistic prediction, or if Nebraska does their job, what the score is. Remember, folks out there, kids, if you're playing in a little youth football this weekend or youth soccer or whatever you're doing, if somebody says we're playing not to lose, you know what happens? You lose.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yep,
Chris writes in, best case, losing 45-17. Worst case, 77-0.
Ooh. Dennis Franchione just groaned somewhere hearing that score.
Zach says optimistic score.
I can't wait to hear Zach.
49-10.
Yeah.
Any prediction closer than that isn't tethered to reality. He also says Ohio State can't overlook Nebraska. Looking forward to Penn State, and the world would still. Ohio State can overlook Nebraska. Looking forward to Penn State, and they still would beat Nebraska by 30. Nebraska has zero chance, no matter how they play. Do I save receipts or do I just delete here?
No, save. You never know.
No, don't. You're fine. You're good.
Actually, he's right. Don't, because then you'll jinx it until you'll have to go into your trash.
Do you hold on to these things? Do you typically just delete emails after you read them? So if that's what you do, just delete it. I don't think there's any receipt saving necessary.
JD, he's lost his moniker. If Nebraska plays their best tomorrow, the score is Ohio State 70, Nebraska 10.
70-10.
Kind of what I expected there. That's what I expected from old JD.
You know, the 45-17 score is kind of sitting with me. I didn't have a dream this week.
Okay.
About what was going to happen in this game.
I was going to ask if you had a prophecy.
45-17, 38-10.
A vision.
So, you know, the line, that would mean that Ohio State would cover.
At the end.
I see a lot of people are hammering the over in this game, which the total is 48.5. Would you accept I don't want, oh man, I just violated. I'm saying, would you accept? You should never accept this. But if it's 17-7 at halftime and the game ends up 38-10, would you feel like that was a subtle victory?
Yeah, I would.
Get it over with. Move on.
I don't think that would break the steam.
By the way, I hate this discussion.
I do too.
I'm kind of nodding in agreement with you. This discussion sucks from the Nebraska perspective. This was supposed to be Ohio State is a 5-star factory, but let's just see where we're at.
Yeah, see how close it is.
And it's turned into, my God, just bring the troops home. Okay, make sure that everybody makes it back for the month of November. That's a terrible place to be.
Don't be in a position that game absolutely breaks you in November.
It's like
where
Callahan
you're just
at the
like,
Coliseum.
we don't know what to do. That to me is the worst case scenario. Score, whatever that score would be, worst case scenario is that. It's a game that's tough to flush out, especially with a good opportunity to get bowl eligible the following week at home. That to me would be bad.
On the stream, where I think people on the stream are a little bit, they're tethered to reality. Rick says 28-24, ugly Husker win.
That's best case scenario?
I have no idea. But I will say that if Rick is right, Rick can come and host Big Red Overreaction on Saturday. We'll just zoom him in.
Yes, I agree.
Walter says the NBA is trash.
Okay, but what's his prediction?
They don't have an NBA team in Columbus. They only have the NHL. Somebody that will be in Columbus is Brett Ciancia from Pick Six Previews. Why? Why are you going to be at the Horseshoe tomorrow?
Yeah, good morning, Gary. Yeah, you know, I booked this when I was thinking they'd both be 7-0. It was trending that way.
Sorry.
Both sides took some losses, but yeah, I'm heading west here through Pennsylvania. Beautiful drive. I can't wait to get out there. First time to Columbus.
Brett, we're on to Ohio State. We decided to do that yesterday. It took us all till Thursday to do that. But just because we only get you once a week, you're going to watch Nebraska tomorrow. When we talked to you last week, you wanted to see what Indiana was about. You weren't sold on Indiana. How much of last Saturday was, Nebraska, or, whoa, I see Indiana. This could be for real.
Yeah, I think it's both things. I think first with Indiana, a great coaching job by Kurt Signetti. I mean, think of this. He's only 6 games in, and it's a whole new roster, a team and a program that has never had any success, Indiana. So to be 7-0, top 10, I mean, they deserve it. They played a perfect game, 56 points on the board. I don't think Nebraska stopped them once. It was just they were scoring at will. So that's part of it. The other part, Nebraska has a lot of issues to figure out. I think offensively, first off, Marcus Satterfield, he graded poorly as a coordinator at Carolina. So I was shocked by the hire when Matt Rule did it. And then this year it's struggling again. I mean, in my advanced numbers, they're bottom 10 in both rushing and passing. Nothing's really clicking. So a lot to look at, a lot to fix. Look in the mirror for Nebraska. It is a long build. You want to think of it as a multi-year rebuild. But it is kind of hard to stomach when you see first-year coach Signetti with less talent on paper beating him by 49 points.
Colorado looks what post-Nebraska when you saw that game in person compared to Nebraska?
Yeah, well, when I was out there in Lincoln, they couldn't block anybody. I think Nebraska had 8 sacks or something on Shadur Sanders, and we thought that was the end of the Sanders project. But since then, they played really good football, almost undefeated since then. It was just a close loss to Kansas State, or else it would be. They're right there on the fringe of being ranked now, 5-2, and they're a contender in this Big 12. It's a wide-open conference. And I think that you're going to see a couple teams emerge there, and they could be one of them. But they're getting it done defensively. That, I think, is the difference between the time I saw them in Lincoln and now, is that their defense has stepped up. They're getting good pass rush, and that's keeping them in there. A more balanced team, offense, defense, than when I saw them lose to Nebraska.
Well, and with that, what you said about their defense, is that knowing that you get Robert Livingston in, first-year DC for Colorado, you've got new pieces to work with, and you've got transfers coming in, that it was just a matter of give them time, they're going to all click. I mean, is there a little bit of that just with the unfamiliarity to Robert Livingston?
Yeah, probably. You have the coordinator change, the scheme change, but then all that player personnel, all those transfers coming in, they set records for the most transfers coming in. So that'll take time to gel, like you said. And I think the biggest upgrade they made was on that defensive line. Multiple guys were all conference players that they signed through the portal. DJ Green, the headliner from Arizona State. So they did bring in good pieces, and it might have taken half the season to start clicking, but they're playing good ball right now.
You may not. Well, you're a college football junkie. I clicked on a link earlier in the week, and I went down the rabbit hole of watching Florida State Miami games, where Michael Irvins and the Ed Reeds and the Peter Warwicks of the world were involved in. And now I look at this weekend, and I'm like, didn't you guys used to be Miami, Florida State? Is there any chance a 1-6 team wrecks the ACC's top echelon on Saturday?
Well, I don't think so this year. I think this is one of the worst Florida State teams in history. It's the worst start since before Bobby Bowden took over in 1976. You got to go that far back. And to your point, yeah, the 80s, 90s, 2000s, this was one of the best rivalries in college football. It was when recruiting was a lot more localized, where all those Florida talent, all those high school stars would stay in state. It'd be all you'd be playing against your high school teammates and rivals, and it was all that blue chip talent. Now it's scattered across the country. So that's damaged all the Florida programs. But this year it's all Miami in that state. They have the best offense in the country per my numbers. Cam Ward, probably the Heisman front runner right now. So I think they light up Florida State here, get some revenge, and continue their undefeated run.
We were questioning why maybe even College Game Day would not be at MetLife Stadium. Navy hosting Notre Dame, and what has been a really, really cool story. Notre Dame favored on the road against this Navy team. Just from a matchup standpoint, what do you expect to see out of this game, and what's your overall thoughts on the sustainability of what Navy is doing right now for the season? That is,
yeah, special year for both the armed forces, Army and Navy, both undefeated here, both ranked. It's incredible to see, but I think they're going to be overwhelmed with Notre Dame. Navy can some years they can sneak up on Notre Dame, but I think that there's no sneak up here when you're ranked and undefeated in a national headliner game. I think Notre Dame will be ready. Their run defense is really strong, and that's really what Navy does, is just run that option and run the ball. So I think Notre Dame wins it. 14 points. I think they'll cover that barely, but it's going to be a good game. And yeah, I think College Game Day made the right call. You want to be on campus. I love that they're going to Indiana. Also a program and Bloomington, Indiana, they've never been to. So getting them off the list, I think that it's well deserved for them.
Let's jump back into the Big Ten. And you live on that part of Pennsylvania, closest to State College. Penn State wins at USC. That's a really good win. Then they have a bye week. And then James Franklin, which is a story nationally, Brett, not a lot of people were following, becomes a story because of how they handled their press conference the other day. Now, by the way, before Ohio State, they have to go to Madison, who all of a sudden is red hot. 2 questions. Any fallout from what went on in State College earlier in the week? And then what do you think happens with Penn State walking into Madison, where all of a sudden we talk about teams getting better from the second half at USC to where Wisconsin is now? They look like a different team.
Yeah, well, to the first part of the question, I don't know much about that. It was, some criminal charges against former players, and I don't even know if he's able legally to talk about it. So I saw that headline. It looked like it got your question. I didn't really go into it, but I'm sure the Penn State reporters are all over it. But on the field, Wisconsin, they've really upgraded. This is a team in my power ratings. They've really upgraded since that bad September start. They barely beat a MAC team. They got smoked by Alabama, and their quarterback got knocked out. But since then, they played really good football. They blew out Rutgers, and they're trending in the right direction. I still like Penn State here, one of the best defenses in the country. And then offensively, I think you're going to see big gains after this bye week. I think they were able to install more stuff with Andy Kotelnicki, one of the best coordinators in the game. And Drew Aller, for all the attention he gets, negative press, he played really well against USC in the fourth quarter, helped them survive on a couple of fourth down conversions and get that W. So I like what's going on with Penn State. I think they're going to win.
What'd you learn from Texas in that loss last week? And I know it's a big number on the road against Vanderbilt, and they've already knocked off Alabama. They're having a nice season there. Any worry that there's any type of hangover where Texas is kind of messing around in this game?
I just don't think it's possible to overlook Vanderbilt this year with all the hype they've gotten. They're ranked. They've already beaten Alabama, so there's just no way that they could overlook this team. So I think they'll be ready to play. It was a physical game against Georgia. Quarterback got knocked out for part of it. A lot of turnovers, a little bit sloppy there offensively. You don't usually see that from a Sarkisian offense. So I think they get it fixed. I still think they're one of the best teams in the country. I think we learned that not number one. I think that rating was wrong, but still a top 5 team and definitely a playoff caliber. I think they're trending that way.
Speaking of number one, and one has a bye before the game against Florida. Oregon hosts Illinois. Oregon, because of where they sit, they elevate to number one. Is there any case out there after watching Georgia look like Kirby Smart's Georgia, especially defensively for the majority of that game, any case that you could make that Oregon has the number, but Georgia is the best team in the country?
Yeah, there's definitely a case for that. And I think even Ohio State could get in that discussion too. I know that Oregon played them to a virtual tie there in Eugene, but those 3 are really the 3 I'd have my eye on as considered as the top team in the country. It's hard to go against Oregon, though, right now. They're undefeated. That's the key for me. And they have the best win in America right now over Ohio State at the top 5 win. So they deserve the spot right now. They're playing a really elite offense. It's almost unstoppable the way they're playing offense right now. And Georgia, for what it's worth, they've looked pretty average a couple times this year. They almost lost to Kentucky. They were sleepwalking in a couple games in the first halves. They looked awful when I saw them. I was down at the Alabama-Georgia game in Tuscaloosa. They looked terrible in that first half. So this was the first time they put together a full, complete 4-quarter game on a national stage this year. So it might trend that way, but for now, I'll go Oregon.
How do you explain Georgia's first half against Alabama compared to their first half that we saw on Saturday night in Austin? Do you think they get bored?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying Alabama you get bored because that's the game. But, man, what a difference of who was that team in Tuscaloosa the end of September to, hey, Georgia, go Dogs.
Yeah, it was totally unrecognizable. I couldn't believe my eyes. Carson Beck was throwing it directly to the Bama defenders. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't tackle the ball. It just did not look like Georgia. It did not look like a dynasty-level team. But, at halftime they go in there, they make their adjustments, and they come out like world beaters again. So, who knows? Might have been a great first half strategy by Bama, but Georgia got it done and against Texas, and they're right back in the race.
The battle of the last unbeatens in the SEC when it comes to their actual conference record between LSU and Texas A&M. A&M running the football very well with Le'Veon Moss. hard to think that that's not maybe the difference in this one. I'm curious how you see LSU, Texas A&M, what this game might look like on Saturday night.
Yeah, well, I think the weakest unit in this game is LSU's defense. So I think that could be exploited by A&M. They're explosive now that they have Connor Wakeman back healthy. He's playing well. Their run game, like you mentioned, is strong. So I think that mismatch is the difference for me. I do really like Garrett Nussmeier, LSU's quarterback. He really played well against Ole Miss. He was almost invincible. You couldn't beat this guy. So many fourth down conversions, scrambles. He really willed them to a win there. But I think A&M is the better team. My numbers favor them. I think they're going to win at home against LSU here. And really, guys, A&M in the driver's seat for an SEC title appearance. When you look at their remaining schedule, they do have Texas on the schedule there on Thanksgiving weekend. But if they can get to 5-0 in the SEC, that'd be a huge achievement for Mike Elko in year one.
Upset in Tuscaloosa, yay or nay? Mizzou coming into town without Cook against Alabama, who we don't know who they are.
No chance of an upset. I think Bama's going to flex on Missouri. Missouri, you remember this all the way back in July. I was really fading Missouri. I did not think they belonged in the preseason top 10, and they've survived a couple times. They barely beat Vandy. They barely won last week against Auburn. I think they're due for another beatdown, just like A&M did to them. I think the better upset chances are with BYU, an undefeated team, losing to UCF. I have that one, UCF winning.
I don't think I would have saw this coming at the beginning of the season when you look at this weekend's matchup between Oklahoma and Ole Miss, that Ole Miss is a 20-point favorite against the Sooners at home. Not necessarily about Ole Miss in this one, but Oklahoma making changes, looking awful at home. Where was you? Almost have to remind me, Brett, on where you were on Oklahoma going into the season and just your assessment of this team right now and what we could expect going forward with Oklahoma.
Yeah, sure. Well, back in the preseason book, I had Oklahoma 9th in the SEC, and that was lower than any other magazine out there. A lot of guys had them 6th or 7th. I looked at two things. Their offense was really, really young. They lost all 5 starting linemen. The quarterback was a freshman. I wasn't really a believer in the offense. I did like their defense, but there was enough problems there. And secondly was the schedule. It was the hardest SEC draw in the conference, and you're starting to see that. There are very few winnable games remaining, and I think they're going to go under 500. So I kind of saw this coming. I thought they'd be a little bit more competitive, but I faded them early, and it's kind of coming true. I'm glad you brought up that line because 20 points seems so high for an Oklahoma team. I have to go back and research this last time Oklahoma's been a 20-point dog in any game.
Hey, let me ask you this question. Again, Florida's off before Georgia, but Florida and North Carolina have been on the discussion of, okay, are both of those jobs going to open? Brett, you're a young, up-and-coming group of 5 head coach that's having great success, or you're a hotshot coordinator at a big-time Power 4, Alabama, Georgia, Oregon, so on and so forth. If you have the option of either the Florida job or the North Carolina job, which job would you take in the offseason?
Oh, that's a great theoretical. I wish I was in that situation because they both pay well. But, UNC is probably the easier path to the playoff if that's your goal. I mean, winning the ACC is a lot more manageable than winning the SEC. But with Florida, that's the best conference. You're going to have the best recruits, the best region of the country. I know these coaches are competitive guys. I think 9 out of 10 of them would take that Florida job, even if it is the tougher job. They want to compete with the best. They want to be in that SEC footprint and play at a blue blood type program like Florida. So that would be the answer, I think.
Hey, Gary brought up Oregon and just the top spot right now in college football. But if you do look at that matchup with Illinois, what they've shown they could do, what they did against Michigan, and maybe there's less value in Michigan right now. Still a big number of Oregon's laying at home against a top 25 team in Illinois. We know what Illinois wants to do and would try to do and limit Oregon's possessions and what have you. Do they have a shot at being successful in doing so, in your opinion?
I don't think so. I think this is the kind of team that they're going to struggle with. It's a really up-tempo attack. Oregon's going to get their possessions. They might only last a minute or two, but they're going to get chances with the ball. I think they're going to score some points. You saw Illinois; they gave up 49 points to Purdue in a really high-scoring game against arguably the worst team in Power 5. So while Illinois does have a couple of good wins, the Nebraska win in overtime, the Michigan game, they have some bad performances too. So I think Oregon flexes big time here. Multiple score win. coming off their bye week. So I like Oregon big.
Have you been to Columbus before?
No, first time to Columbus. One of the blue blood programs out there, one of the most loyal, passionate fan bases. So I'm excited to see it. Going to tour around the campus a little bit and get in there early tomorrow. I think Big Noon Kickoff is in town, so I'm really excited to see it.
Well, safe travels, and remember what Big Ten venue you went to first this week or this year. Yeah.
For sure. Thanks, guys.
Hey, that's Brett Ciancia from Pick Six Previews. You can follow him on Twitter at Pick Six Previews. We're very jealous of Brett because Brett has gone to Lincoln, he has gone to Tuscaloosa, and now he is going to Columbus.
Mm-hmm. You can go to Columbus. I mean, well, I need John Bigger overreaction with me though, but
can't wait.
People can make that.
Can't wait. Here's a TV issue. So you can lament that Rutgers and USC are playing at 10 o'clock local time, 10 o'clock Central time. You can find it. It's going to be on Fox.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd be curious to see what the ratings are, how many people stick around after baseball. I mean, do Yankee and Dodger fans like college football?
No.
Okay. But isn't it ironic you have a New York college football team against an LA college football team? It just happened. But you can find it. You can find it on Fox.
Yep.
The game of the day. You know what the game of the day is, and where can you find it?
It's not Rutgers and USC?
It is not.
Oh. What is our slate tonight?
UNLV Boise State.
Boise State. That's right. That's
okay.
Tonight, yeah.
That is one of the best games of the weekend.
On CBSSN.
Would you like to be able to find it? It doesn't kick off till 9:30, but it's going to be tough to find for most people.
It's on CBSSN.
That's the power of
it's on
the
the
Big
DePaul
Ten
Network.
or the SEC. You have a contract.
That's true.
A good TV contract.
Yep. Now, I wonder do you think the schedule makers were foreshadowing what the World Series would be when they decided, hey, this could be pretty cool?
Last year, they were looking ahead. Man, that Petiti
isn't he?
He is a forward thinker.
He had some experience in baseball.
By the way, for all the people out there, because I had lunch with one of them yesterday that hates college athletics because of the NIL, shouldn't you be a fan of the service academies? Navy, Army, they're a unicorn. They don't have any NIL issues.
No.
Okay, they're just out there balling, and they could be in the playoff. But we could have that's a playoff elimination game at MetLife tomorrow between Navy and Notre Dame. Notre Dame or Navy lose, they're out.
Yep.
They're out. But just love me some Navy football in that game because they put a new spin on the triple option. Be still my heart. I mean, you might be watching the Nebraska game and watching that off on the side and be fully hussed watching the triple option that Navy runs.
I know, especially given what might happen.
Or watch some monk ball with Army.
In the game, too. Yeah. Blake Horvath, he's fun to watch, man. He really is. And Riley Leonard, I'm with Brett that I think Notre Dame wins. I don't know, though, if
Notre Dame's rush defense hasn't been stellar.
And it's one thing to plan for that. We always remember this with Nebraska too, and you try to scout for that. But then the way when a team runs it so well, there are so many intricacies of it that is so assignment sound that you just got to be perfect. So.
Here is Random Mike. Good morning, Random Mike.
Gary, I watched the game last night. Let me tell you something. You guys do a really nice telecast. It's really enjoyable.
Thank you very much.
I agree.
I will pass that along to our crew. They do a great job.
I agree, Mike.
I mean, across the board. I mean, I'm a big fan of you as a play-by-play guy. I really am.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Really nice tribute to Mr. Kelly and his family. And that was really nice.
Not a good situation, but thank you for recognizing that.
And there's always hope. Believe me. Hey, a couple questions. When Tony White said "stupid," during his press conference, was he referring to the plays his players were making, or the way he called the game, or had the position he had them in?
I believe he made it sound like it was him.
Yeah, but it's not real clear, is it?
I think he insinuated because he went back and talked about scheme.
Tony
too.
doesn't back up the Greyhound, Mike, so he was talking about himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you this. And this easily could have happened with the weather these days. Games are postponed or canceled. Let's say the Indiana game didn't happen, okay, or postponed, okay. And let's say, first start with that. If that didn't happen, how is this game looked at? Where's Nebraska would be rated, right? We were in the top 25.
So you're saying like Nebraska had 2 weeks off, or they played somebody else?
Let's say it didn't happen, okay? And, we had the bye, and but it's completely different. Am I right in terms of how this game is looked at?
Probably a little bit. Maybe not with as much dread.
Because let's say that Dylan makes that pass in the Illinois game that I think he makes 9 out of 10 times. I think that's a fair statement. And we win that game. It doesn't go into overtime. So these are things that could happen. The Indiana game isn't played, and we win that Illinois game and don't go into overtime. Where are we rated?
Well,
probably 15 to 25.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're inside of 20.
25.
Yeah, because you're rated against Illinois. So sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole recency thing here about how we're reacting. Let me ask you this about our fast receivers that aren't being thrown at deep. How fast are Barney and Lloyd? Are they faster than most of the defenders on Ohio State?
Well, you brought Ohio State into the mix. Lloyd and Barney are your two speedsters. They would have equivalent speed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember reading somewhere where Lloyd's speed, when this miles per hour thing they used, was as fast as anybody in the NFL. I remember seeing that somewhere. I think we all agree you got to throw deep to those guys and put a little fear into Ohio State, and maybe some big plays can happen. But is he like 80%? I mean, he's clearly not 100%.
I mean, that's the thought. I mean, the ankle was an issue. Not sure if that's been a lingering thing as well. There's been talk about that, but you also go back to what you just brought up with missing that receiver there in the Illinois game too. It almost seems like he's been a little more trigger shy or maybe a little bit more hesitant. So not sure if that's more mental or physical.
Do you think the ankle is affecting his throwing and maybe his ability to throw deep?
Maybe. It's possible.
Do you think Harburg should play substantially more in the game tomorrow?
Substantially more? No.
Especially if Dylan's not 100%.
Yes, he should play more tomorrow, but in certain situations. I love Harburg in the red zone.
Yeah,
they have to find
out. We don't really know
if to run the football. Nebraska needs an extra option in the backfield, and that's kind of what Harburg brings you. But what does his snap count look like tomorrow, Mike? His highest snap count was against Indiana, but the majority of that was in mop-up time. I think in time where the game is still on the line, 5 to 7 snaps is probably appropriate for Harburg. But those 5 to 7 snaps, he's actually involved in the play. That has to be the usage for him if you're going to put him out there.
So what if you have him in there with Liebentritt, and it's kind of looking like old Nebraska where you got a real power running option team, and then you also got the really fast receivers there where you can stretch the field. So Harburg does have a big arm.
So that's intriguing because they haven't really run quarterback power. I think Liebentritt needs to play more. I think the I formation needs to be used. You don't have the element of Ramir Johnson tomorrow. I mean, they struggle so much to just consistently run the football. Their best option actually to help their offensive line might be by chucking it, whether it be down the field, passes behind the line of scrimmage. The offensive line is a better pass pro than they are run blocking.
Yeah, but you put Liebentritt in there, and that really helps them.
Yeah,
I think we agree on that.
But you also become very predictable. Yep. So they have to find a way. I mean, this is a schematic thing, and being creative and being able to do it over 60 minutes of football. Mike, we got to move on. Thank you very much for the call. There are a lot in there about the run game, of what it may look like tomorrow without Ramir Johnson. Just going to commit to Emmett Johnson, but also remember, you got some dudes up front for Ohio State that are going to need an extra man to block. So does that mean you got to keep the running back in? You got to chip with the tight end? I mean, it exposes your deficiencies and doesn't allow you to accentuate one element of your run game. But I think tomorrow is a commit to Emmett Johnson day, running and catching the football behind the line of scrimmage out of the backfield. Little flare, little safety valve, get Dylan in a rhythm, get him lathered up. You know what? Easy completion, get the ball into space, find some perimeter blocking, and see if Emmett can get you 6, 7, and maybe more.
That would all be so amazing if all that happens.
All right, Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports, going to make you some money. He joins us next on 1620 The Zone. All right, time to talk on a Football Friday Fiesta with a good friend from Paramount Sports, Lee Sterling. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. This is a big weekend in your house because you remember there was a time at Doak Campbell Stadium when Florida State was up 19-3, and then all of a sudden Steve Walsh and Melvin Bratton and Brian Blades and Michael Irvin and a comeback for the ages. Remember when the Miami-Florida State rivalry was a lot of fun locally and nationally?
I get goosebumps just hearing you talk about it. I've been to a lot of the games, and I'll be there Saturday night. Yeah, what's crazy is that Florida State was 2 years ago just destroyed Miami, 45-3. Now, I think kind of the shoe is on the other foot. I mean, you talk about reeling. They hit on everything last year in the transfer portal. This year, every kid that they grabbed has been a flame out. And Miami finding ways to win the close games. Offense, number one offense in the country. This game kind of reminds Miami's nowhere near where they were in 2001. Mm-hmm. Next 2 weeks kind of reminds me of late in the season in that 2001 season. A couple of years before that, Syracuse had demolished Miami. And then Washington beat Miami in Seattle. And what did Miami do? Well, the first game they beat Syracuse 59-0, then beat Washington 65-7. I think Miami's going to roll. No. Florida State, they're going to leave their starters in. They're going head-to-head on a few kids, and they want to make sure there's no doubt they come to Miami. So I like Miami big, 45-10.
Hey, let's start with your card for the week. I mean, Oklahoma is reeling after the loss to South Carolina. They fired their offensive coordinator. People are wondering, are they the new Nebraska making a transition to a different conference? This is a big line. Ole Miss has to be angry. Their season is on the line. They can't afford to lose anymore. Where do we go with Ole Miss being a 20-point favorite against Oklahoma?
I think this is a great situational play to play Ole Miss. Coming off the bye here, Oklahoma has absolutely no offense, and kids just don't want to play there. I mean, they've got a defensive coach. They're watching what's going on there. They've scored 15, 3, and 9 points in conference play here. And now they're going to have a new offensive coordinator, John Finley, who has never called plays before, even though he was the co-offensive coordinator. They fired their offensive coordinator. Blowout special. Ole Miss, 45-10.
Speaking of blowouts, Indiana did that to Nebraska last week. They take on Washington without Curtis Rourke, which is interesting. Washington is hung around nicely this season, too. Indiana favored 6.5. Game day is going to be there. Do the Hoosiers take care of business and have a solid encore from a week ago?
I like the fact that Washington got a bye. I mean, they moved up and down the field their last game against Iowa. Outgained Iowa 393 but 328, but their red zone offense and special teams, missed field goals, was horrendous here. So, the backup quarterback, Jackson, stepped in, did a great job. He does have experience, but, sometimes a whole week of practice, people think, we're going to see a continuation. But I think Washington's going to game plan for them. I think Washington's skill players on offense at running back and receiver are better than people realize here. And even though I've loved Indiana, it's time to jump off the bus here. Upset special. Washington straight up 31-30.
Whoa.
Yep.
All right. That is on the board. Staying in the Big Ten, NBC walks into Camp Randall Stadium. Nighttime game. Here come the Nittany Lions with a top 15 defense, top 10 offense, top 25 win over Illinois, big comeback over USC. They're on the road. Drew Aller is feeling it. But Wisconsin has won 3 straight, and they've looked pretty good. This is very much an intriguing game. Penn State's a 6-point favorite. Penn State or Wisconsin is the play to go.
Here's the problem with Wisconsin. Then they have played well. They're playing some really bad offenses, Purdue, Rutgers, and Northwestern. So in the 2 big games, they lost by 32 and 17 to 2 ranked teams at the time, Alabama and USC, but neither of those 2 teams is ranked. I don't think they have the weapons like USC had that can hurt Penn State here. James Franklin pressed me here with his play calling, and I think they're going to do a number here on Wisconsin, even though it's at Camp Randall. I think Penn State pulls away 28-14.
Okay. Illinois got a nice little victory over Michigan, the defending national champion, and some really cool uniforms, by the way.
Yep.
Oregon riding high coming off of the bye after the Ohio State game. Oregon favored. I'm sorry, that was kind of a bye. Yep. They beat Purdue last week. But they are favored big at home against Illinois. top 25 matchup. How do you see it going?
So that one was big for Illinois over Michigan. Now they got to travel cross country, 2 time zones, face a Dylan Gabriel-led offense that's really hot. I mean, they're number 15 in explosive plays. If they get up by double digits, I think Illinois is in trouble. I mean, only 58th on offense and explosive plays. They're more of a plodding offense. Takes them 10, 12, 15 plays to score. And this Oregon special team, special. Place kicker, great. They've returned a punt and a kickoff for a touchdown already this year. I like Oregon. Quack, quack. Ducks 38-10.
I think from here on out, you should always pick Oregon so we get Lee Sterling to quack on the air.
Yep.
You can quickly get through this, please. Ohio State, Nebraska.
All right, so I think the line is elevated a little bit because, especially for the Texas and Ohio State games, because they're coming off of a loss. And the public expects them just to go out there and pound their opponent. Nebraska was awful. I mean, defense didn't come to play. They got beat to the punch. The play calling on offense was awful. This is a gut check game here. They have nothing to lose. I don't have a play either way for my clients on this game, but we got to pick one side. I'm going to say Nebraska comes to play and hangs around. I think they lose 38-16, but I say they cover the 24.5, 25.5 point spread.
Okay. The free play is an old Big Ten West showdown. Iowa Northwestern, where Iowa's getting a decent number, laying 14 after losing to Michigan State. How can folks get involved?
I'm going to do this. I'm going to give them Iowa Northwestern and also Notre Dame and Navy. That game could have implications both ways, both teams, for the college football playoff. Both games, you want to get them for free, just be one of the first 5 callers. Call 800-400-9741. Give you Iowa, Northwestern, and Notre Dame and Navy. 800-400-9741, and went 12-4 last week since the start of the weekend through last night. You want to hop on board? We hit another 40-unit max wager. We're now 70-25 on our 40 to 50 unit max wagers. How about this? First ever Halloween in honor of Stuart Scott Booyah Bundle. $147. Gets you every football game from tonight through Sunday. The World Series, first 2 games tonight and tomorrow. Every NBA and hockey selection, $147. If you bought these separately, be over $400. Halloween Booyah Bundle. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
Winner, chicken dinner. Lee, have a great weekend.
You too, guys. Take care. Be safe.
Lee came in with heavy sound effects.
The
he
quack.
quacked and he went, booyah.
Yeah.
And he went, what the? Washington 31, Indiana 30. Hello, boys and girls at home. All right. Halftime of Football Friday Fiesta. Still to come, Mike Schaefer and Matt Verzal on 1620 Zone. Hey, busy day on the Zone tomorrow. Big Red overreaction right after the game. And then Creighton basketball. Creighton and Purdue tomorrow night downtown, the charity exhibition. Charity exhibition's better than opening night of college basketball, where we get some duds. I'm glad that there's flexibility and there's want and there is a need.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love these charity exhibitions. KU and Arkansas play tonight, Jimmy.
I did not know this.
I mean, that's a banger.
Yeah.
Like Creighton Purdue will be a nice, interesting, okay, we're not playing Bemidji State. We're playing a team that has similar talent, also not very far away from us in the rankings. It should be, I like this. I like this. I would hope once a year, that's kind of been the idea of like Omaha and Creighton playing. They play in a charity exhibition, which they've done one time before, that maybe they would do something like this. Maybe Nebraska and Omaha play in a charity exhibition. Or you know what? Maybe they just play during the regular season. But
charity exhibition round robin weekend.
Rocky and Thunder Lips
where
was
you get all of the
exhibition.
state teams
What do you think,
involved.
So, like, let's say...
Who would be the fourth, though?
Let's say Creighton is the number 1 seed, so Creighton sits out, and so, like, they got all the guys are sitting behind the basket. They get a bye. And then when the game is over, they just come on the floor because they're next.
I like it.
Yeah, I spent numerous summers watching that gong show at AAU basketball. I'm not up for that.
Well, what did I know it wasn't an exhibition. It was actually a non-conference scenario, but in Iowa, when they did the Northern Iowa State and Drake.
Big Four?
Yeah, Drake. Wasn't that like a big Hy-Vee deal?
We don't have a Big Four here. I don't think there's any other school that's thinking about jumping to D1 in the state.
No, unfortunately.
Concordia's got a good basketball program.
Kearney did at one point. Hey, Wesleyan
now
a few times.
Now
Midland?
Kearney will be back.
Midland.
Marty will get Kearney basketball turned around.
Oh, Marty Levinson, my guy. We spent many nights at local watering holes in Columbus when he was the head coach at Central Community College too. Good dude.
Why does that seem like that's the case with anybody that coaches at Central Community College?
Well, I don't know.
Don't group me.
But
not group me.
You know that
I've only been to Columbus like 2 or 3 times in my lifetime.
Well, but you know that, and when I've
I've
talked
been
about
there
it,
more. I've been there more. I like their Legion ballpark.
Thank you.
What
I
is
do
it, Pawnee
too.
Park?
Pawnee Park, yeah.
Yeah.
Right across the street is the Pawnee, where you can get $2.50 Dukes, big Duke glasses. Can't get that anywhere else. You just have to like Miller Lite. But as I've told you this many times, I really valued my time there.
You did.
I really enjoyed it.
You got a better chance of going to the Hall of Fame at Columbus High than you do your alma mater, Millard West. It's really weird.
Teed up.
Thank you, Captain.
Hey, Millard West. Nick would be rooting for you tonight to win against Westview, but he's like, man, Westview's closer to my house because I live in the burbs now.
I live closer to Westview. In fact, I was at a Westview golf event just recently over the summer. I've never been invited to a Millard West golf event.
Really?
No. Never have.
The guy who threw the first touchdown in school history.
Truth. All facts. All facts. Although I know on occasion,
the Eddie LeBaron of
one of my
Millard West.
favorite coaches in the entire world that I've ever had the privilege to play for, Dan McLaughlin, sometimes listens to the show. So maybe the power of Dan McLaughlin.
Saw Coach McLaughlin because he's an assistant on Larry Martin's staff at North. So I saw him last Friday night.
Yes. I love me some Dan McLaughlin and our Sunday text chain of fellow Bears fans too. We have a little Bears fan. It's a random assortment of guys.
That'll be banging this weekend.
A former Omaha World
Williams.
Herald scribe is on that one too.
Mike Patterson, how you doing?
He's not on that, but he's also a big Bears fan.
Ooh, guess the.
It's the former. It's a former Omaha World Herald.
So it's
scribe.
not Sam because Sam's current.
Lee Barfnick.
Yep, nailed it. He's on there too.
What's Lee's connection to loving Chicago teams? Because he's a big Blackhawk fan. Lee's a big hockey guy.
Well, and him and Patterson, I know that, they go to a lot of the hockey games together too when Patterson's not actually covering it, when he takes a night off and just wants to be a fan. So I don't know if between Mike and Lee, I'm sure there's a story. There might be some family connection or something. I'm not really sure. But yeah, he's a huge Bears fan too. We have like 6 guys in the group text, including Coach McLaughlin. But maybe with Dan's influence, probably far greater than mine, he can make that happen. I don't need it, but yeah, I'm just saying I do. You're right. I live closer to Westview. They've been showing me more love.
Hey,
Let me be a part of their golf events.
We could have 3 OPS teams in the field of 16.
Progress.
I mean, that's a third-year school for Westview.
Yeah.
Their first senior class. Saw them against Bellevue East.
Now they have to win tonight to get in,
nice
right?
Team.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's a tough one.
Because Millard West is already in, because Millard West has won that district, I believe.
That's a tough one for me, though. I'm still rooting for West Side or West Side.
Coach Peterson.
I'm still rooting for Midwest. Exactly.
I'm riding with KP. Sorry, Coach Ryan at Westview.
And I am going to say I didn't see Frank, but I just saw Bonnie the other day. I'm still going for Millard West because of Captain Kirk. That's
now,
my guy.
Everything I said because
Coach
I have to
Pete's
remain neutral doing the games. I'm just throwing that out there.
So you can't make
I have no rooting interest.
That's just part of the conversation.
People are like, hey, who are you rooting for tonight?
I don't root.
Gretna East. I'm like, hey, I don't know. I'm going to go to the Super Hy-V and just hang out there.
Rooting for the crew. Good broadcast.
I bet it's buzzing there today.
Lee brought something up that I hate this phrase, but I'm going to entertain it for tomorrow's little thing that's going to go on in Columbus, where Ryan Day is 44-0 against unranked teams, and Nebraska's lost 26 straight to ranked teams. I just do that because we're required by law to present some facts, not preventing facts. We are here to present facts.
Jeez.
Lee said something. I absolutely hate this phrase. I hate this phrase. He said Nebraska has nothing to lose. You always have something to lose when you go into competition.
Yep.
Do other people feel that way? That Nebraska tomorrow, playing with house money, they have nothing to lose in Columbus, Ohio? I'm just curious. I hate the phrase. I'm not going to entertain it. But I think a lot of people, when Lee said that in his picks, they were nodding their head going, yeah, you're right. That's why they can play maybe free and easy.
No, because of what they have in front of them after this game. There's still something to lose there. So
they have something to lose tomorrow. They have something.
Yeah.
They have something to lose. What if you lose part of your team tomorrow?
It's exactly my point. Exactly my point is you play in a manner to where it gets so frustrating, it boils over, and people are, if they weren't in the moment last week, and you have the ability to reset, practice, prepare for the next game, that you feel like you've put yourself in a position to do better than you did a week ago. At least do your part as an individual better than you did a week ago. And then that doesn't go well. You start getting that frustration setting in, and you still are on the cusp of something that Nebraska hasn't done since 2016. Like there are things that can happen tomorrow in a loss to Ohio State that can make the rest of the season very, very uncomfortable. So that you could lose that.
All right. Speaking of uncomfortable, before we bring our caller on, you can't swear this time on the air. On the 42 Degree The Source by your mom's house hotline, here is Tim. You got it? You can't swear this time.
I'm sorry, guys. I just want to tell you I survived the trip to Austin.
All right.
I wasn't the one throwing the bottles either. That brought out the true Texas colors right there.
Well, if you were one to do that, you would have helped actually get a call in Texas's favor.
No, I was too high. I was too high up in the rafters. Have you ever been to Syracuse Royal? So
okay.
But what was the experience? What was the experience like outside of the game?
Oh, it was awesome. 6th Street's awesome. All the tailgating was cool. Wore the big red colors down there. They really didn't like that because they thought we were too scared to stay in the Big 12 because they were beating our butts all the time.
Well, they're in the SEC, so what do they care?
I know. Well, you know how Texas fans are.
Yeah, it's true. They always got something.
Yeah. Hey, what's that Mike guy that's always? I mean, is he up? Is that the coffee guy for the camper? Is that him?
What?
Because he's like random. He just goes off and on and on. I mean, I don't know. Hypothetical games that we're supposed to be not playing and supposed to be ranked and all that. I mean, where's this guy going all the time?
Well, there is a reason why he is Random Mike, Tim.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
he's
the one that makes me gummy. I can tell you that. But
whoa. All right, Tim, you got a great Tim. Why don't you and I hang out?
Hey, Gary, let's do it. I know where you live.
Whoa.
Remember?
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
That's right. You do know where I live.
Yeah. Hey,
no, you don't have to go anymore.
Let's go to the Turf Club, and we'll have a couple drinks right down the street from you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, let's. You want to meet there about 3:30 today?
Please do.
My man's got a game to call tonight.
I'm working tonight, but you know what? Let's do this before the season is over.
Let's do it. Hey, let's get Nick there too.
All right, we'll bring we'll bring Jimmy as well.
We get him out.
I'm in.
All right.
We'll get him out.
All right. I need to have more of
Have
your
a great
lifestyle, Tim.
weekend.
Yeah, Tim, thanks for the call.
Tim.
You just called me the young one. My day's made.
Why don't you and I hang out?
Hey, remember last week, gummies and ribs. That's what it was.
Gummies and ribs, and then he said he was too high, but then he
was seated up.
He
high.
elaborated on that and said he was too high up there.
Sneakily, in my neighborhood, I like the word sneakily.
I do too. Because it used to remind me of a Thursday night promo
I've got
at a
some
bar
good-
called Sneakily.
I've got some good dives. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like the poop deck.
The poop deck. Oh, we used to go there a lot.
That's a great name.
We used to go to the poop deck. And that was one of the reasons we went, because we're going to drink at the poop deck.
Goes back to your first segment, Nick.
I learned more from a firefighter at the poop deck one night because the Union Hall is not too far away.
Yep.
I was like blown away. I was like, this place is so Omaha, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I was getting to the moment where they knew my name, and I haven't been back.
Have you spent any time? Because I had to check and make sure it's still open. It's not that far from you, but the Candlelight.
No.
That used to be the Thursday night spot.
Nope.
That's where we saw one Scott Frost wearing Jabot jeans one night.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Stay away from
Just
that
want to know
place.
if anybody goes there.
Stay away from that place. I went to the Shark Club once.
So we
I had a fellow radio host that's like, hey, it's right up the street from your house. Why don't you go there and just tell me how you...
Oh, that he was setting you up on a fool's
That's
errand.
a trick. Oh,
Yeah.
there
was
it
a
is
fool's
again.
errand.
I was like, Jesus, I'll end up on the news if I stay any longer here. And then they tore it down.
Yeah. This was news to my wife. She really didn't realize, because wasn't this like pre-COVID when they tore it down?
I
It's
believe
right
so.
around- yeah.
That spot with the hotel has been empty for, I
Yeah.
think pre-COVID.
And we've driven by it many times, my wife and I have. And so when we were on our way to the hockey game last weekend, she said, oh, they tore that down? I'm like, yeah, like 5 years ago.
And women are safer in Omaha because they did.
That's what I told her there was probably within the first few months they tore that down, you probably needed to stay away. It's probably a biohazard because there's probably some super germs that were still lofting around there.
I mean, Jesus, that's a place that would have beaten COVID.
It'd be like, what?
Yeah.
You think that is something? Oh, come on over here. Let me show you what we got inside here.
All right, Mike Schaefer joins us in about 35 to 40 minutes. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Week 7 of the 25 four-quarter pick'em is officially open. You can make your picks now. Get a piece of the prize of $25,000 throughout the season. Play now at 1620thezone.com. And congratulations to David Wozniak. He was a perfect 10 of 10 last week, and he came away with $2,500.
There's a reason why that paused there. You guys know that?
I remember you telling me back
This was
when.
the song of the summer.
Yeah.
All right. You got that real big energy. Hey, Daddy. When are you going to stop playing?
Was this something on a pole like an onion or something?
There's a bad, I can be your fantasy.
Yeah.
I can tell you got big blank energy.
Big brain on Brad.
Yeah. So
Royale with cheese.
This is just the acoustic because
it's a good beat.
Yeah.
Good beat.
It was the song of the summer 2 years ago. Welcome back in. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Jimmy is here as well. Coming up at the top of the hour, Mike Schaefer. In about an hour, Matt Verzal will join us on National Breadstick Day.
All right.
I say a big thanks to Matt Coatney, who was on local TV the other day.
He was
being interviewed about the DMV.
I thought they were really trying to get everybody's perspective on that Indiana game. Come to find out, it was about the DMV. Yeah. Man, Coatney's even weighing in on this.
So Coatney and I will have a competition on the most off the wall callers on post game shows.
They still do get some. There was
a guy last week that called Big Red Overreaction. Austin and I wrapped up, went outside, got in our car, and I had the Husker game on, and it was a guy that had just called our show 20 minutes ago.
He needed more.
Zach Potter was doing it last week.
Yep.
Fantastic. We need more Zach Potter on
do.
the radio. But Coatney reminds everybody what the national day is. It is National Breadstick Day. So go to your favorite Olive Garden.
Or Fazoli's.
Yeah, I was going to say Fazoli's.
Whoa. Are we? Well, let's have a debate here. Olive Garden breadstick greater than Fazoli's.
No, Fazoli's.
Too much butter and whatever.
That varies on
seasoning
location.
on the Fazoli.
That varies on location because I'm with you.
The Olive Garden breadstick. I can go to an Olive Garden in Cape Coral, Florida, or go to an Olive Garden in Omaha, Nebraska, and I know what I'm getting with the breadstick.
Okay.
The other thing is, I can go to Fazoli's, and this isn't going to happen at Olive Garden. The thing at Olive Garden, you know what Olive Garden is appealing to me? Because Olive Garden, you can go there if you're broke and it's going to be fine. Because you know what? You go there and you get the unlimited salad and breadsticks. So you load up on that and then you order a meal. But you know what? You're too full from the breadsticks and the salad.
Leftovers.
You got leftovers for like 1 to 2 days. So Olive Garden is appealing to the broke person with the breadsticks and the salad.
Fazoli's is not? Fazoli's is like...
Now, are we going to start comparing food beside the breadstick?
No,
well,
no.
The fare, I would agree the fare at Olive Garden is better, but I'm saying your big claim to fame of the why the breadstick is greater and then the value of Olive Garden. It's not like Fazoli's is.
What about the old
something you need to have a reservation for a week in advance?
Olive Gardens are built in like palatial, nice areas. Fazoli's are built in the former parking lot of Peony Park.
That's true.
Enough said.
That is actually, and that's not just an Omaha thing too. The last time I was at a Fazoli's was actually in, I think, Waco. And it was a very similar setting where once upon a time, this probably used to be a mall. Not a lot of people go there. I believe there's a Best Buy there. And what do you know? There's a Fazoli's.
Spirit of Halloween.
Yeah, there's a Spirit Halloween, a Best Buy, and a Fazoli's. But at one point, it was a thriving area.
What about the
like 20 years
bread
ago.
at Little Caesars back in the day when they used to
Now
butter and cheese?
Now that's still good. I was just focusing on Olive Garden. The breadstick is, there's a lot of solid places that have the breadstick. Corey says don't sleep on Pizza Hut breadsticks.
Yeah, true.
Valentino's garlic twists were great as well.
Yeah, they're big too.
But people aren't going to be able to experience the Valentino's garlic twists because then they went to the dessert twist.
Yeah.
But the fact that we're closing Valentino's buffets, we're losing out on that part of the generation. When I am trying to explain to my grandkids about the time I went to Valentino's, they're going to be like, Grandpa, I just ordered on my phone now. And I'm like, you don't know what the buffet was like.
True. And now
this discussion has become very sad.
Okay, yeah. I'm looking this up because
me.
I need to know if this still exists. Okay, it looks like it does. For a lot of people that were my age, when you had open campus, and if you were in the Millard area, between either Millard South or Millard West, you would drive down to roughly 138th and Q, where the Valentino's was there. There's a Sergeant Pepper's a little bit further away too. You'd go there. You had about 45 minutes to get the trip done. You'd get the Lunch Express. They had the combo meal of 2 slices and a breadstick and pop for, oh my gosh, it was like $4. It was
Only
so
2 slices,
cheap.
though?
Two
About
big
8 short.
Slices
okay.
too. And then you'd eat it. You'd eat it on the way back. You'd make it back in time. As long as they don't get rid of the Lunch Express, like the buffet, it's kind of sad to me, but the Lunch Express meant so much to my high school experience. We went there probably every other day. We would mix in a little Blimpie too. Because Blimpie was right there next to Millard West at the time.
People are very passionate about the breadstick. Quick power rating from Rick. He goes, Pizza Hut is the banger. He goes, then I would go with the Papa John's garlic parmesan, and then I would go Olive Garden Fazoli's. He goes, here's the thing about Pizza Hut, because I've asked, they're better because they use a thing called Calgary seasoning mixed with dry Romano. Calgary seasoning mixed with dry Romano on the breadstick.
Does it come from the Saddle Dome?
Let's go, Stampeders.
I don't know. I mean, the Pizza Hut, you were able to load up on the breadstick at the Pizza Hut buffet.
That's true.
Why doesn't America want us to be fat? Why are they pushing exercise and shots? Let us have the buffet back.
Yeah, if I want to gorge myself, let me.
Yeah, there's Ozempic.
It's my right
I mean,
as an American.
For the pizza buffet in town, Pizza Ranch kind of has the market. Periodic Godfathers will have the buffet.
Do we have a CC's?
The Godfathers breadstick. Okay. So, okay.
Okay, so let me ask you on the breadstick
the
qualification.
Thing about the Olive Garden, I'll tell you one quick story about the Olive Garden. You know what? If you go to the Olive Garden and you're like, you know what? The Olive Garden, you also have to factor in the Alfredo. Like, it takes it to a whole nother level when you throw in the Alfredo sauce at the Olive Garden.
Better be close to home, though, if I'm having Alfredo sauce.
Here's the thing I like about Olive Garden. This happened to me once. I was with a friend. His wife happened to be pregnant by him. So we were sitting there.
Thank you for specifying that.
It's 2024. You got to add that.
You never know.
You never know.
True.
We did watch Springer.
I mean, there are surrogates. But he said, my wife has such a craving for your breadsticks.
Mm-hmm.
Your breadsticks and the Alfredo. You know what they did?
They created something.
No. They came out, and it was like a suitcase full of breadsticks for his pregnant wife.
Oh, my God.
A suitcase.
I say that was the reason why they had a successful pregnancy, and their daughter now is really good.
Yeah.
And going to cause them a lot of problems when she starts dating.
Oh, uh-oh.
But nobody knows who that is, so that's okay. All right, sorry.
I'm going to ask you a question then. The breadstick qualification, because you brought up a place yesterday that was phenomenal. But if you throw mozzarella cheese on the breadstick, does it count? Or is it a cheese stick? Because I know there's mozzarella sticks too.
Because there's cheese sticks at Pizza Hut.
Yes, and Godfather's, theirs isn't bad, depending on how sometimes it can be a little overcooked, but if you get it like right, perfect, it's good. But Roman Coin Pizza had amazing the mozzarella bread thing.
So John is with you. He said the varsity cheese breadsticks beats them all.
It is the best. And then this was just bread, but they cut it in a way that it was like a stick for people who remember, and this is a total if you know, Grisanti's. Grisanti's bread.
I've heard of this.
It was over by old guitars and Cadillacs, all that back in the days when 114th and Dodge was thriving.
That was when we ate carbs, Jimmy, and then there was this carb scare, and places like Grisanti's and what was another place that was popular? They kind of disappeared.
Mm-hmm. That bread was amazing. I think my junior year of homecoming, we went there, and I don't even know if I had an entree. I just ate all of the bread. It was so good. And they had a little like an oil thing that you dipped it in. But
good date spot. Didn't you? They would put the parchment paper over your table, and then the waiter or waitress would sign their name. Wasn't that Grisanti's?
I don't believe that was Grisanti's.
What was the other place? Macaroni Grill.
Oh yeah, macaroni. Yeah. Where you'd get it was the shareables. You'd get the huge portions and you'd share. Yes.
You had to share?
Well, you could.
Hey, on that
you didn't have to.
On that note, a good shareable place called the Machine Shed, which is located in Urbandale at Living History Farms.
We stayed in a hotel right next to it. That's a
great hotel.
Mm-hmm. It's very cool.
Really, really good hotel.
Yep.
They will not be coming to Omaha. They had looked at Omaha, not going to be coming.
Oh, of course.
Pimp King says, I believe Godfather's in Elkhorn still has a buffet.
Nice.
That's by me.
I think now my friends in Columbus will have to confirm this.
Oh, it's small town Nebraska. Yes, they have a buffet. Where
they did, but so
true.
Casey should have a buffet.
Small town Kansas.
So remember when
same.
I went back to Columbus this last summer for golf, and I just happened to stumble upon the same day that they were having like their 50th birthday or 100th birthday. I don't know. I can't remember.
Godfathers?
Yeah, they were celebrating something. I could have swore one of
I
the
haven't
people.
seen the Godfather's guy in a while. I like that guy.
No? Oh,
he likes me. I don't.
He was in Columbus.
I saw him at an Omaha hockey game the last time.
Oh yeah,
he's always in character.
Yep.
Yes,
that's what you told me. I didn't see him out in Columbus, but I was told he was there. But one of the people, one of our old friends that still lives in Columbus, I could have swore he said that they did away with the buffet in Columbus. I might have, maybe I had a little bit to drink that night, so maybe I misheard.
The buffet at 48th and Highway 2 in Lincoln, I crushed that buffet at Godfather's back in the day.
We used to go. So when my brother worked at, still does, works remotely though, worked at the Mutual of Omaha building. So I would meet him downtown, and we would go to the Godfather's downtown or in that area. And yeah, that was a buffet almost once a week. We did that.
We need to check on the Godfather's guy. I haven't seen him in a while. He usually stops into the station, records some spots, or just says hello.
Mm-hmm.
We had a listener who I believe their sister was dating him. That was some wild story back in the day.
Whoa.
Question on the text line. No, actually not in the text line. I thought it came through in my text. This is from John David. Have you been to Spiza? They bring over bread and mix up, oil, vinegar, and spices. Delicious.
It's good.
But here's the problem. Why I don't go there? Because I was told that it was a dress-up place one time during the summer. So I put pants on, which violated my rule of I don't wear pants during the summer. And so somebody said, you know what? Let's go there for dinner. I'm like, I've never been there, but it's close to my house and everybody talks about it. I went there. I put pants on. There was a friggin' priest at the table next to us who was wearing shorts. I was so angry. Haven't gone back.
I've only been there once. We went last year, actually. I've only been there once.
John also writes into the Equitable Bank inbox on a question that was posed at the top of this hour, sparked by a conversation with Lee Sterling, who quacked on the air. Not croaked, quacked. Some of you that have lost some money with Lee, you're like,
it's on the radio replay.
John says on this Nothing to Lose, he says Nebraska has a season to lose. If they get pounded again, they may break the team mentally again, and they would end up 5-7. So earlier in the show, I brought up, man, isn't it great? People were talking about 2016, and we had partial memories of that year. But now they're talking about 2007, the back-to-back losses that were ugly, Missouri and Oklahoma State, which was okay because it led to the departure of that guy. And he's never been back and really never has been seen since then. Well, I mean, back-to-back blowouts. Does your view change about this team from anything this weekend? You know, college football is week to week.
Yeah.
I think your viewpoint will change because I think the youngins on offense are going to have the ball in their mitts. I think Carter Nelson, Jalen Lloyd, and Ja'Cory Barney will be part of the game plan. Now it is just, will the play call be able to match the game plan, and will they have the ball in their hand? I think on the offensive side of the ball, Nebraska is going to incorporate some younger guys to try and spark anything. So I think those are three guys that may change your view of the offense, at least moving into the month of November.
This is going to be a tough thing to do in the moment. It's easier for me to say this at 8:37 a.m. on a Friday before the game than actually during the game if it happens. But the score, whatever it ends up being.
Don't play the scoreboard.
True.
Play yourself.
That's also true. But can you look past what is just going to be dominant three phases of football that you're up against with Ohio State? And if you're able to just rid yourself of the comedy of errors, from special teams to no offensive flow, there's going to be stuff that Ohio State's going to do that's going to make Nebraska's offense obviously significantly one-handed at times. But is it, I don't want to get completely down to the basics of it, but the penalty situation, decision-making when it comes to special teams, all those little things, if you've reduced that to an absolute minimum, and at least some point in the first half, you're sustaining a drive or two, You're getting a stop or two. Things like that. That at the end of the game, the score could still balloon up. I don't want to say, I'm not trying to tell people what they have to accept, but yeah, this is a bit of a mismatch. So the score is
between Nebraska and Ohio State?
Yeah.
Good job, Nick.
Bit of a mismatch.
Nick, take it till Friday.
But is it on top of the mismatch that you have this comedy of errors, a team that looks like there is zero discipline, preparation, all those things that kind of showed up last week too? Because I don't think the coaching staff wants to do it, but I found it very interesting that UCLA was brought up by Matt Rule himself when he said getting through Ohio State, and then we got UCLA coming in.
That's why this is a miserable conversation.
Mm-hmm.
This is game 20.
You don't want to waste a Saturday. You don't want to, but tomorrow feels like a wasted Saturday.
Would you apologize? I don't know. Defense, I think, will tackle better. I think they will attempt to get 50-50 balls, but they're in for it. I mean, there's pick your poison with two running backs or two wide receivers. But I think the look of Nebraska's defense will be different. It's just they're playing a five-star factory.
Right.
Tell you what could buy Marcus Satterfield and Matt Rule on offense a little time is if there are some younger guys that get more of a taste, like Nelson, Lloyd, and Barney. Now on defense, I mean, Caleb Benning could possibly make his debut on Saturday, but there's not like an abundance of young guys that all of a sudden you can play on that side of the ball. They're an older group.
Yeah.
But offensively, if you have a couple of young guys that are featured a little bit more, that might buy you some time and people going, okay, you got me. All right, let's see how this looks for the next 4 games.
But it goes back to what you just said, though. If you involve those guys, how are they being used? What type of plays are being designed for them? How are they involved in the offense? One thing if they're out on the field, another thing of, oh, cool. All right, look at how they. I think a lot of us try to pretend at least, and some of us I think actually do know of what a skill set that Carter Nelson would bring. Really good athlete. He's got good size, good speed for his size as well. He's got a great vertical. Ja'Cory Barney has elite speed. So how are you complementing that? How are you putting that in a position to where, okay, that could actually give Ohio State something to worry about, at least in the moment, as opposed to, well, they're on the field, but what the hell was that? Why, are they just decoys? Stuff like that. So
I think they'll make Ja'Cory Barney will have it at some moment, maybe not tomorrow. They will look at him as a wide receiver 1 option in this offense. Probably not tomorrow, but I wouldn't be surprised in the last 4 games if there's a moment where that's his role instead of a hybrid role. You do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, be the gadget guy.
All right, Mike Schaefer going to join us at the top of the hour. Matt Verzal will stop by as well. More on Nebraska and Ohio State. I can feel the optimism from the stream, also on Twitter and email about this game.
Appropriate.
Stranger things have happened. Kennesaw State beat Liberty as a 25.5 point underdog. Don't say it can't happen, because you know what? There is nobody in the Soviet Union that said, well, us big USSR, we're not going to lose to USA Hockey. And then a miracle happened in 1980.
Will Al Michaels chime in?
You realize
Rizzo!
44 years ago, a miracle happened in Lake Placid, New York. And you know what is similar? They're in the same time zone. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. It's a banger of a tune.
That last waltz coming up. You can listen to the Connor Happer Show all week to win your way to that show, by the way, at 1620thezone.com. It's going to be Tuesday, October 29th at the Orpheum Theater. Life is a Carnival. Last Waltz Tour 24. Boom.
This song is different from what you played in the last segment. This song does not have Big Richard energy. But Tom Petty, I'm sure it one day did.
Yeah, I won't back down.
Kyle Schwarber is the picker tomorrow at Indiana. John Cougar Mellencamp has already been brought out of the box, and he's been put in the box. Fox. Who's the celebrity in Columbus on Fox? Herb Street's dog?
Yeah, probably.
They borrowed him.
Ben.
They borrowed him
Ben.
while he's in Indianapolis. The dog is in Columbus.
Ben barks once for one team, twice for the other.
But I do like that Kyle Schwarber is the picker on that's out of the box Indiana guy. He'll probably reminisce about the home run he hit over the bullpen in right field at the Big Ten tournament against Nebraska on the championship day before 19,000 when the ball was not juiced and it took a lot to get out and we went, oh my God.
This guy is a god amongst men.
I would think that Schwarber has two of the greatest home runs that he's ever hit in the game of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
One happened right here at the downtown day trader. The other was on top of the scoreboard in the playoffs.
That was in the that was actually pretty cool. Actually, and maybe a sneaky one too at Bart Kaufman Field in Indiana. They do have one of his longest home runs there commemorated. It's got an actual I think there's a plaque there or something. They might have bronzed the ball. I don't know, but it's there. So he also did that at the time,
I've been told
Bart Kaufman Field.
I've been told that the ball carries quite well at that stadium,
It
so I
does.
think that's a fraudulent home run.
It really does, actually. Yes.
Have they? Do they culminate? I think they should. I mean, Rob Anderson should be out there putting the plaque in the ground
Of that one, of the Big Ten tournament.
of the longest home run at
Would it be Schwarber's?
Charles Schwab. I had to think about what the name of the stadium was because I just referred to it as the Downtown Day Trader.
Well, at that time, it would have been TD Ameritrade Ballpark, too. So, facts.
By the way, you guys want some nuggets on the old home of the College World Series?
Yeah. What do we got?
Getting the Rays?
No. Might be getting an upgrade with some technology.
Ooh.
Another scoreboard?
A rolling roof.
Are they going to put it in the right spot?
Friend in the industry said, you know what? We might be bidding on 2 new video boards.
Yeah!
At the Downtown Day Trader and new ribbon boards.
They're going to put it down the left field foul line?
First thing I said is, hey, do you know that where those 2 video boards are? He's never been to the ballpark.
Oh, okay.
So he's not from here.
Okay.
And I said, one, there's a hole where there should be. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I think that's the plan. He goes, I think there could be some bids that went out.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I mean,
you've been heard.
It's technology.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I wonder how soon before they put in a new scoreboard at CHI.
We have a new marquee before then.
Wait, at CHI.
Yeah, they need that marquee right there on the corner of, is it 10th?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
They gotta upgrade that, man. That looks like that was the marquee for the Chai when it was the Quest.
Yeah, 2002.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 2002 is when it opened?
Yes.
Okay. I just remember watching the first event ever there. Sporting event, by the way. Creighton was playing UNO in a
how it should
exhibition game.
You know what? Too bad Creighton didn't come to Baxter Arena for the opener. Instead, they had to go to Cal Santa Barbara to get the Gauchos and Mitch Kupchak's son.
Nice.
The Gauchos. I love it.
World Series prediction. Yanks, Dodgers in...
Dodgers in 7.
Dodgers in 6.
I will go with the Yankees in 7.
Just give me 7.
Have you guys watched
a good World Series?
The average ticket price, by the way, $1,133 for the games in Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium.
For all my friends that are Dodger fans too, if you really want to get amped in your disliking of the Yankees, finally got through it yesterday during the day. The Netflix, The Comeback, the 3-parter on the Boston Red Sox 03-04 season. It's good.
Good call.
It's very, very good.
I'm gonna watch that today.
And there are people on that team that were part of that team that
characters.
Yeah. Good and bad. But man, they do a good job of portraying the Yankees of like,
really?
Good Lord. Yeah, the Red Sox, those guys are rolling up in NFL jerseys and whatnot. Then you've got the Yankees in their 3-piece suits. And then it goes over how the Red Sox, people forget the Red Sox almost got A-Rod
Don
in
Zimmer
04.
assaulted Pedro.
And then the Yankees get him, and they're talking about how an A-Rod invites Theo and who am I forget? Theo's right-hand man with Cubs as well. Jed Hoyer. Inviting them up to his penthouse that he was rented out in New York that weekend. And it was like midnight and A-Rod's still in a 3-piece suit. And it's very like, there's just so much about it. Like,
wear a t-shirt and a shorts.
Yankees, you guys are a bunch of pansies.
Onesie.
And then there's the A-Rod slapping the ball out of Bronson Arroyo's glove.
Can the Yankees, can they lose to Dave Roberts again?
Yeah.
20 years later.
Now that part, there's if you watch that, there is a really cool side story before he pinch runs in that game too, and talking about his old base running coach when he was with the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a really, really cool story that they talk about. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's a lot of those key moments when they began, not only the comeback for the Red Sox organization, but the comeback being down 3-0 is a lot of those key moments that we all remember. It's kind of locked in. There's some really good side notes to it. And Kevin Millar is a big part of this docuseries, which now there's a personality right there.
Little known fact, Dave Roberts never played in the World Series.
Many people forget.
He did not make an appearance in the World Series after
Neither did the
having a
Cardinals.
major
exactly.
True.
Didn't
After
need
having
him.
a major part in the ALCS.
Mm-hmm.
Important for Dave Roberts to win a World Series. He won a COVID World Series. Happer tells me that anything you did during COVID doesn't matter.
Well, I think people look at it differently.
Okay, I can see that.
And drunk Rob Manfred wasn't drunk. He just couldn't hear himself.
Mike Schaefer will stop by next to kick off the last hour of a Football Friday Fiesta ahead of Nebraska and Ohio State. Don't forget, busy day on the Zone tomorrow. We got Big Red Overreaction after the game. Once it goes final, I think you guys are going to be snarky here and go, "Oh, you mean we're starting Big Red Overreaction?" No,
you said that.
No, I didn't.
11:23?
I left it.
You were thinking it.
I'm the curious cat. I want to see how Nebraska responds.
I'm between curious and dread.
I don't know that those are.
I don't know how you describe it. I'm in
that really is called life.
I'm in that little neighborhood between curious and dread.
I think that's birth and then death. I'm somewhere in between.
Yeah, I am. I'm in purgatory of this game. Just waiting it out.
And then afterwards, Purdue and Creighton. It should be a fun little exhibition at the downtown, not a hospital.
No.
That houses many events. Schaefer stops by next. Matt Verzal as well in 1620 The Zone. All right, time to welcome in our good friend from Husker 24/7, Mike Schaefer. Good morning. Good morning. Hello?
Mikey.
He was there.
Mike?
Shave.
Hold on.
Oh.
Sorry, having Bluetooth issues over here.
Oh, no.
God, did we already? I thought we solved that. What are we doing?
Well, it requires me to have made sure that I have them connected to the phone before I attempt to put them in my ears and then wait for you guys to talk.
Okay.
So
That's
user
fair.
error is generally
That's
where
fair.
we should go with.
I think our relationship goes back long enough. We've shared a golf ball, among other things, that I can ask you about maybe a sore subject from last night's NFL game. Do you think there are more terrible calls during the course of a football game or more terrible miscalls during the course of a football game?
That's an interesting distinction.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume just by the nature of general judgment calls, there's probably more terrible calls like that actually get made than ones that get missed.
Mm-hmm.
Because I tend to think with officiating, and I've never been an official at any sort of meaningful level, so no one should take what I have to say on this overly serious. But I tend to think that you err on the side of if you think something happened, you're just going to call it anyways.
Yeah.
Wild as to how that wasn't called last night. I do want to be really clear about this. Minnesota was down 8 at their own 3-yard line and have no one else to blame but themselves for that. At the same time, the pool reporter's comment that he got from the head official about how they couldn't see because the quarterback was, facing away from him, as they do 95% of the time on plays in the NFL, in college, in high school, in Pop Warner. What a moronic statement that was. I mean, you completely and utterly blew the call.
Yep.
Just say, we got it wrong.
Yep.
We screwed up. You don't have to try to excuse it. You don't have to try to say that no one could see it or you couldn't get an angle on it. You just blatantly missed it. Just say that you were completely and utterly wrong and you will do better next time. Anything else doesn't make sense. Now, Minnesota lost that game because they didn't play well. They didn't lose that game because of that call. But it is frustrating that you don't get an opportunity to then at least get the ball at like the 18-yard line and attempt to go score a touchdown and where you won't get the 2-point conversion anyway.
Well, you have Justin Jefferson, so there's always a chance.
Yeah.
I am 100% in agreement with the explanation because of the priority of protecting the quarterbacks as well. I'm right there with you. It's good on your head coach and quarterback not to blame that. I thought you guys had the right mindset afterwards, so good on y'all.
Well, they lost the game. I mean, you can't kick 2 field goals in the second half when you need touchdowns. Your defense has to be able to get stops. I mean, they had a bunch of other penalties that were clear and obvious. They couldn't get off the field against Stafford. They pressured him on 3% of his dropbacks, which is an anemically low number, particularly for Brian Flores, who loves to pressure everyone all the time. It's just, and then, it was their second game in roughly, 4 days? So it's hard to, as annoyed as I am by the result, it's hard for me to be overly upset. Now, if they go lose to the Colts next Sunday night, that would be, then I start to get a little like, okay, what's happening here? But for now, I can live with it.
Help one of our listeners out. His name is Phil. He wrote an email into the Equitable Bank inbox. He said, Gary, I've been a diehard Nebraska fan for a long, long time. I put up with the good. I put up with the bad. I put up with the ugly. Saturday in Bloomington did something to me. And then, oh, by the way, Nebraska plays Ohio State. I'm mixed on what I'm going to do. I know that I want to watch the game, but I'm actually contemplating going with my wife to Fanny's Fruit Farm in Gurley. Now, I had to look up where Gurley was from Omaha.
Yeah.
It is 410 miles away in Cheyenne County. We're getting this as the game gets closer. I want you to be the hype man. Why should a fan watch tomorrow's game, and what will they get out of tomorrow's game?
Here's why you should watch tomorrow's game. And I had a variation of this on our message board.
Nebraska and football teams, college football teams, are only given 12 games a year. So those are 12 Saturdays, or if there's a Thursday or, you're in the Big Ten, a Friday night mixed in there. Those are 12 opportunities to watch your favorite team play. Mm-hmm. Even if your favorite team isn't playing well, it's still better to be able to watch football than not. We all know what a Saturday on April 9th feels like when there isn't football going on. We know what a Saturday in late February when we're in sports hell is going. You only get so many of these Saturdays. And if you really want to think about it, you only have so many of these Saturdays in your life. Why would you want to waste one of those and not watch football? Especially if it's your favorite team, if it's what you do. And then here's the other thing. You never know what you're going to see. Is Nebraska going to win on Saturday? Probably not. But could they? Yes, because it's a competition. And they have an opportunity to go in and do something. And maybe they upset Ohio State. And if they upset Ohio State and you're at this farm,
Franny's
you're
Fruit
be
Farm,
upset with yourself. Yeah. You're going to wish that you would have watched the game, not because, you thought that they were going to win or you thought you were going to see this legendary moment, but because you'll want to have remembered feeling like they had no opportunity to win that game and then being completely and utterly shocked. Sports is about putting yourself in the moment where you are vulnerable and allowing for your emotions and the feelings to overcome as a fan. Like, that's what we do. You think your team is going to win or lose, whatever happens. You watch the game because whatever you built in your head doesn't matter. What happens on the field, on the court, on the baseball diamond, in the rink, that's what matters. And that's why we watch. Anyone can make something up in their mind. But what physically happens, that's what's cool. You've never potentially seen it before. Who knows? You could get a game where Heinrich Harburg has to come in the second quarter, has the best game of his life, leads Nebraska to an insane comeback win, and you could be picking fruit. You don't want to be picking fruit.
Hey.
That was good.
That might be some of your best work you've
that
ever
was
done
good.
on 1620.
That was good. Yeah. The spirit of competition, my friend. Okay, so along those lines, Mike, I know the question this week has been, what does success look like in this game? And the obvious statement is somehow you win. Okay, well, if you take out the likelihood of that happening, to you, success in this game based on what we saw last week would be what for you?
I think for me, success is I just want to see Nebraska come out and play hard. Make Ohio State earn it. Don't give them easy points.
Yeah.
Don't turn over. Don't just give up on the game some way halfway through it. I mean, I want to see Nebraska fight. I mean, whether they win or lose this game, they still have 4 more games after this. And those 4 games really matter. They matter to them. They matter to players. If you're Ty Robinson and you want to go be in the NFL, Matt Rule talked about this. Like, there's NFL players at Ohio State. Go measure yourself up against them. You're Nash Hutmaker, same thing. Go measure yourself up against them. You're Tommy Hill, Sierra Wright, Marquise Buford, anybody in the secondary, go match yourself up against these guys. Like, it's a point of pride at this point. And that's probably why Saturday last week felt so bad, is that it felt like Nebraska, for the first time under Matt Rule, didn't have pride in how they were playing. They sort of just showed up, didn't play well. I wouldn't say that they quit, because I don't know that it was quitting, but they weren't playing with the effort and the way that that they're capable of. And that's what I want to see on Saturday. And if that means you still lose 37-13, fine. But at least be able to walk out there knowing that you put your best effort, even if it wasn't good enough, then you put your best effort out there. Because what you need to take from this is the opportunity to walk out of the horseshoe knowing that there's 4 games left for you to get bowl eligible. And beyond that, continue the progress that you want as a program. The season doesn't end on Saturday. There's a lot of season left, and there's a lot of reason to show up and play hard.
Gosh, I remember before you got married and had a kid, you were a curmudgeon. I like this. Does Nebraska have commitment issues to the run game, or do they just have the wrong partners in the run game?
This is kind of a chicken and the egg. Like, I am someone who is of the mindset that committing to running for 2.9 yards a carry is not going to help. Like, I understand that it's going to sound good when you're up at the podium. I understand that there's people who wear run the damn ball shirts and have run the damn ball hats. And we have a run the damn ball user account on Husker 24/7. I get that people are just obsessed with running the football, and there is a value to that. However, you have to be able to do it at some level, and Nebraska just is not running the ball very well. And so, part of why they were running those screens last week is to help stimulate a running, because they can't just line it up and run the football. And I don't mean that they need to go full Mike Leach and throw it 90% of the time here, but they have to figure out how they're going to win games. And I don't think just plunging Dante Dowdell into the backside of his offensive line because they can't get to the second level is going to help you win games. You have to be meaningful and strategic when you're running the football, but it doesn't mean that you're just going to try to run it 60 times to prove a point. Like, I just, like, there has to be some nuance in this discussion. You have to find plays that work for you. You might have to consider not running out of the shotgun, which I think would help because you don't have a quarterback that's a running threat. You might have to consider using Heinrich Harburg a lot more than they have, just so you do have a quarterback in there that is a running threat in certain situations. I think they can get creative and do more, but I don't think it's just as simple as, well, we're going to load up Dante Dowdell and Emmett Johnson, and it's going to work for us because everybody wants us to just run the football. I don't know that they have the pieces to do it. I don't think the running backs are good enough. I don't think the offensive line is good enough. So can you marry some semblance of a running game with the ability to throw the ball downfield, which is what they were doing in the first 4 games of the season before everything seemed like it got derailed? That's more of what I want. I certainly don't want to see them go into a shell and try to play a team like Ohio State by trying to run at them. I don't think that's going to work very well for them.
Shafe, what is we were discussing a week ago going into the Indiana game, possibly seeing a more of an aggressive approach by the offense, mainly at the quarterback and seeing some deep shots and what have you. Is that, I know it sounds crazy because you have even better defenders, a better secondary than you did a week ago that you're up against, but could that also be part of just kind of that letting it loose? We were talking about stop with the whole there's nothing to lose, but knowing that not a lot of people are expecting it. We have expectations. Let's see what the kid can do. Let's see what the kid can do when he starts to air it out a little bit and see if you can get some matchups, design some routes that are going to give him the opportunity to let it loose a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things at play here, but it all comes down to something that Michael Brunt's kind of hammered home during 2 podcasts this week, which is Nebraska needs guys to win individual matchups throughout the field, whether that's in the passing game like we're talking about here, where you need Jamal Banks to go win an individual matchup when he has the opportunity to, or Isaiah Nair, instead of just getting taken out of the game like they did last week. Mm-hmm. And you need your offensive line to be able to win individual matchups. You need your defensive line to win individual matchups. At some point, we can take all the schemes and all of that out of it, yards per play and all the other talking points. You need individual players on that field to go make plays. And that's where Jamal Banks and Isaiah, you were brought in to go make plays.
Yeah.
You weren't brought in to catch 4-yard passes. You weren't brought in to basically being physically manhandled by Indiana's defensive backs to the point that you're no help for anybody. Go make plays. That's why you're here. And I think part of Nebraska's struggles have come down to starting with Purdue. They got physical with Nebraska's wide receivers, and suddenly the passing game got hard. And Rutgers did the same thing, and Indiana did it to the best level that they can. And Jim Knowles and Ohio State will have something similar. So what is Nebraska going to do to counteract that? And yes, Marcus Satterfield can help out a lot with different concepts and different things. But ultimately, Isaiah Nair, Jamal Banks, seniors have to go out and make plays. Jalen Lloyd needs to be able to go make plays. Dylan Raiola has to have the confidence to push the ball down the field. I'm not entirely sure that they're mentally. That's my biggest concern, not with this game, but with the final 5 games. Where's he at mentally? But he needs help, and he needs these receivers who were brought in here to go make plays, to go make plays. That's what has to happen in the passing game. It sounds super simplistic, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
Because right now, Nebraska can't do simple.
Yeah. Well, because they're trying to major in something that throws their identity off. I mean, they're trying to blend a pro-style passing game, but they also want to be able to do a power running game, and they don't have the pieces to match it. I want to shift over to...
And they don't...
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, they don't even really have the mentality to kind of do that. Like, you have one foot in both worlds. You kind of have nothing for either. And it's not like you're balanced. It's not like we have this mythical idea where they can somehow do a little of both. They have to commit to something. And I don't think the power running game is the one to commit to, quite frankly.
Well, let's shift over to defense because they're going to face a beast. They got 2 really good running backs, and they got 2 NFL wide receivers. And I think we at least go, okay, the defense will look closer to what we kind of think it is, but they're facing a 5-star factory. More confidence in Nebraska will be able to tackle better, be lined up better against the run, or cover wide receivers and win 50-50 balls on the back end.
I'm going to say something that I don't know that I would have said before.
You said a lot already, but I'm very happy with this.
I know that Will Howard has the ability to throw the football like Curtis Rourke, or even Taven Jackson, for that matter. And Nebraska got beat by really good quarterback play, and their defensive backs could have played better. Now, Ohio State has better wide receivers, so the challenge is going to be different in some regard. I do wonder if you're able to make Will Howard throw some tight window throws. I don't know that he can do that consistently. I think he can hit guys that are open, so you have to be able to stay in coverage to a degree. But I think, for as good as Ohio State's wide receivers are, and as good as their offensive coordinator is at scheming open throws, if you can make him have to hit some back shoulder throws or some of the stuff that Curtis Rourke and Indiana were able to do, I'm not entirely sure that's Howard or Will Howard's game. Like I don't think that's what he's going to hurt you on. I think where Nebraska is going to get hurt is where they've been hurt by Illinois and at times Indiana. If Ohio State starts to run the ball early in that game and then they're able to switch to play action, that's where Nebraska's defense has really struggled this year. They struggle when they can't diagnose what a team is going to do. They struggle when they play balanced offenses. And Ohio State has the ability to really balance in a way that few teams can. I mean, they have an incredible rushing attack and an incredible passing attack with just the skill position players alone. But if you are able to get into situations, like if you could take the run away and you get them in third and long, you have to make Will Howard throw into tight windows. Like that has to be where Nebraska wins on Saturday. If you're able to get to 3rd and 7 or longer, you have to get off the field on those downs if you're going to have any chance in this game whatsoever. And guys have to make plays. The same thing is the same conversation as the Jamal Banks, Isaiah Nair. Defensive backs are going to have to make plays. Defensive linemen are going to have to win up front. Linebackers are going to have to make plays. Try to punch the ball out. Go for broke. You're really going to have to go for broke on Saturday if you're going to try to win this game.
Any significance, Ohio State losing their left tackle, and I know they're replacing with a guy that's been in college for a little bit, has got a little experience too, but is that something or nothing in the grand scheme of this entire matchup tomorrow?
I don't know that it changes the outlook a whole lot. I mean, if Nebraska can find ways to take advantage of that, more credit to them. But it's not like they went against a juggernaut of an offensive line against Indiana. They went against a bunch of guys that were pretty good, and they made them look terrible. So, again, it's a point of pride. Like, if you're matched up against that left tackle, make him earn this day. That's the thing. I think even if Nebraska loses, they have to make Ohio State earn this. Don't just give it away. If you're going to give it away, you're going to earn all of the scorn and more that you deserve.
All right, we will watch at 11 a.m. tomorrow, and we will dissect it, and then we'll get ready for the last 4 games. Great stuff, Shafe. I really appreciate this conversation.
Yeah, well, hey, look, I might be a curmudgeon, but I'm always pro sports when it comes to apple picking.
Have you been to Franny's Fruit Farm in Gurley, Nebraska?
No, I went to Martin's Hillside Orchard on Sunday with Hudson.
Yeah.
And he really enjoyed it. We met up with my brother and sister-in-law and their kids. It was a good time. It was nice. There was lots of people out. We picked some pumpkins.
Nice.
Shelby got some apples. I'm not saying that people shouldn't do this. I'm just saying if you have the choice, you should probably pick the live sporting event.
All right. I'm with you. I'll be there tomorrow. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
See you, Shape.
That was good stuff.
Franny's Fruit Farm.
His best rant ever.
Mm-hmm.
There is a place in Avoca called Bloom Where You're Planted Farm.
Bloom Where You're Planted. Okay.
That's like Nebraska tomorrow. Just do your job. Don't overthink things. Like if you have a pumpkin patch, Just bloom where you're planted.
Bloom where
from.
you're planted. That's you doing your job.
Yeah.
Nothing less, nothing more.
Those
You know
Just
what?
do your job.
Here's the thing. I bet that place in Avoca, Nebraska, it's back to the simpler time. You know, when you had a 2-story 1890 barn that housed everything, and all of a sudden now you have antiques and vintage goods. You got jewelry, you got a little seasonal decor. It smells really good. You got candles burning. People walk in and you're like, hey, how you doing? Welcome. And it's Nebraska nice. It's just nice and simple. Bloom where you're planted.
I like that.
You know what? And your running game matches what a hayrack ride speed is. But your passing game matches what the nature trails are there to explore, because you never know what you're going to get. What's
right.
going to pop out of the woods.
Sometimes it's underrated. Sometimes it's overrated.
And which coach dresses as a scarecrow tomorrow?
Okay.
Matt Verzal joins us next on 1620 The Zone. Hey, I did not see our next guest because I was trying to sift through. Omaha men's basketball has a commitment from Scott, a student athlete who was dressed in Omaha gear that stormed the field on Friday night at Scott. I was looking for Vers, but big victory for Scott, snapping Bennington's 46-game winning streak. Good morning, my friend.
Morning, boys.
That was an impressive victory by Scott. That's 46 in a row is pretty impressive. B will be entertaining coming up in the postseason.
Yeah, it was good. The boy, I don't coach over there anymore, but the boys did a good job. I was on the sidelines and hung out for a little bit, and then usually I'll dart out before the chaos ensues. So as the final bell went off, I was already out kind of walking back to work. So yeah, it was good. They were excited and they played well and battled through some adversity and got the job done.
I'm going to ask you a question that I think I already know the answer to, but someone was, because I live in Bennington, somebody was entertaining this over the weekend, and I always get triggered when I hear this notion, but they said, hey, Bennington got the loss out of the way. Now they can refocus and they can start rolling. And I'm sorry, I don't buy into you need to lose just so you can get that whole distraction out of the way. I don't buy that, Matt. I feel like that is a loser mentality. I just don't like that.
You probably could call Nick Saban then and ask him, because he said the same thing in an interview.
I just don't.
He said it's good sometimes after you've won for quite a while to lose one, and just back to reality and back to realizing that somebody can get you, and then you refocus and see what happens.
What's the reality?
So, if you want to doubt Nick Saban, then yeah, more power to you.
I should be in Bloomington.
That's true.
After Saturday, what's the reality of Nebraska football going into Week 8 at Ohio State?
Man, that's a tough one. I don't know what that was. It was something that I thought a demon that had been exorcised, maybe, and we didn't have to worry about that anymore. But evidently we do. So that was man. It was so out of character for everything. It didn't make any sense. So it is what it is. You old habits die hard, man. And I don't know if they were feeling themselves and thought they were just going to walk in and Indiana was Indiana and you were going to win and that kind of deal, or what it was. But hopefully we don't do that anymore. Like that's if we never do that again, I'm good with that.
Is there such thing? We were discussing this earlier in the week on the defensive side. Is there such thing as being over prepared to where all of a sudden even the basics start to kind of go by the wayside in the actual game itself?
You can get some analysis paralysis in there. You can think what it gets you at the end of the day is you're just playing a game that you played since you were a little kid and you loved it and you played hard and I have still fond memories of being in the Kamelka's backyard playing a game that I can't really say the name of because we used to call it something different than they did, but the ball would get tossed to me and I was Earl Campbell.
I know what you're talking about.
And people were going to pay if they wanted to come try to tackle. And I was a non-discriminatory organization. If you were a freshman in high school or a senior in high school and I was in sixth grade, you were going to get it. So it was, but that's what it was. It's fun and it's a game. And do I think that's what happened? No. But, that may be what the story is. But you just got to go out and play. You got out everything. You didn't have a phase that you won. So you live, learn, and move on.
Game plan or play call issue? Why the offense is kind of clunky?
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. I set that one up for you. I just Jordy balled you up to the plate, and you just put that one out onto New Hampshire. Thank you.
That's a rough look in the presser too. I don't know.
Okay, so
I don't know where that came from.
So how should he have handled that question on Tuesday?
The yards per play?
Yes.
I know. Okay, so I know analytics are valuable in today's football. I know that's things people watch at or want to know. For me, I'm more of a end result of the play kind of deal. Did we get ourselves in a favorable down and distance? Did we do this? I can manipulate analytics however I want them to look. Pretty much, if I get a 40-yard pass play, it's going to boost my yards per play, but I may get three-yard runs in a row that I really like a lot more that I know I can go back to later in the game. Next question.
That would have been an interesting response because I don't think you have much from that. But I want to go back a question before that kind of bothers me in the day and age of what the Big Ten is and what the Big Ten is built on, that and kind of tying into what we've a little bit already touched on, the mindset. Got to get into the mindset to run the ball. I mean, first, come on now.
Oof. That oh God. That was, yeah. Top 10, 15 things I didn't want to hear that day. That's 1 through 16. Especially, it's tough and I get it. But when we're told, yeah, we want to be physical, we want to focus on this. And, it happens with the Lions. There's a little bit of Lions hangover after you play the Detroit Lions now, where you ain't going to win and you sure ain't going to cover. And Nebraska was kind of in that mode where the team after the week they played them didn't play real well. But to do that, you want to be a physical team, you got to call physical plays. And, 25-yard post routes aren't really physical.
Yeah.
And Verza, for me, if I think about the one time that you could really look in on this team and say, they're popping, the runs are getting what they need to get. A lot of people will point to it as well, first half of the Colorado game. We've seen that, and I get it that sometimes the opponent dictates how that will look. But it just seemed like in that first half, there was aggression. There was just pissed off dudes winning one-on-one battles, and you were seeing 4 to 6 yards in the ground game when they wanted to. Why can't that be sustained? Where do you think the drop off from what we saw in that game to what the reality is right now?
You're saying Indiana was doing that to us, or we were doing that to Indiana?
No. I'm saying just the fact that there's maybe not even that confidence to be committed to the running game like they were in that first half of the Colorado game, and everything was popping and it was physical, and you could just see it that you didn't need any analytics to tell you what was happening in that game, and now all of a sudden either there's the reluctance to settle in and try to commit to it, and then when it's happening, it looks so out of sorts.
You can't press the panic button if it doesn't get 4 yards. Like if you look at play calling, like how many series does Nebraska get 3 to 5 runs called in a row? Right?
Not many.
I don't care if it's the reverse that they run to Barney. That's a good play for him. I don't care if you fake that reverse. I don't care how many times do you tote that. Now, you are playing 10 on 11 because you don't run your quarterback. So that puts everybody in a difficult spot. But to run a running physical play, you have to call more than one in a row.
I want to talk about defense real quick here.
Okay.
What do you think will look? Because some guys did some things that they're not taught that, but they played that role. What do you think in your mind looks different right away with even the general observer when you look at the defense against Ohio State tomorrow?
What do I
like? Guys won't be aligned. They will play harder. They will compete.
You get to a point sometimes where you're just DTM. Okay, you're just doing too much. All right. So what's your job? Your job is to do this. You have to successfully force the ball back to help. You have to, be a run support guy. You have to do all these things, right? When you decide you want to go rogue and you don't want to do those things, then the defense doesn't work. They're not built that way. You won't succeed in any of them. And I just think there's times where guys that have been there for quite a while and know better, they just do too much. Like it's take it back to the Patriot. Do your job. End of statement. End of quote. There is nothing else that you have to worry about. Do your job. That's it. And I don't think Nebraska defensively, for the first time probably in White's tenure, I don't think they did it, which is crazy because they had been so good at it for so long. But, it's you had a bad day. And we can all sing the song, but it was a bad day, and you got to get over it. You got to move on because you got a monster waiting for you. So if you want to piss and moan and feel bad for yourself, and a Nebraska fan, of course, has got the pitchforks out. We're getting rid of everybody and all this. It's like, hey, man, it's 20 years since it's been consistent and stable. It's the closest thing we've had. So everybody push the relax button. See how the rest of the season plays out. Now let's go from there. But I would guess some discussions were had by the head man last week. So we'll see what happens. The beauty of the game, you get to find out every Saturday afternoon.
That is true.
Yeah. We heard from the head guy yesterday that, and I at least love that he does preface this by saying it doesn't matter. Hopefully it needs to show up on Saturday, but they did have, from what he said, it was a good week. As far as a response, if you're on that coaching staff, Verz, and you saw what happened, or if you're a player and you experienced that, and you're one of the veterans of that, what does that need to look like this week? What does that preparation need to look like? Because you said don't panic, so you're not doing maybe more, but what does that response need to look like right from the get-go?
The search still for like the alpha of alphas. And they should have, hopefully, and then the chance that he was ever going to come out, I don't know how practice went. I don't go to practice, so I'm just saying. But the chance of him coming out and saying, yeah, we didn't have a very good week of practice, -2 billion. Like that, those words were not going to get uttered from the boss man that week.
Yeah.
But everybody on that field should have been sore or damn near, ice bath up after every practice. Because you can carry physical with you everywhere you go. I can be physical every time my cleats touch the turf. I can control that every time. I may not know what I'm doing, right? But I can still hit you hard. It's what I try to, in the one-on-one sessions that I have now with kids, or if I do walk over to Scott and catch a practice, 100 miles an hour wrong over 50 miles an hour right will win. You can make a mistake, just make it going fast. Make it going aggressively. Don't play tentatively. You play tentatively in this game, it's never going to go well. So attack and hit hard. Used to it. It's a foreign concept. Nobody walks out. You can't walk out in the middle of the street and punch somebody. You can go to jail too, but it just, you have to rewire the brain, and the brain of Nebraska football is still a work in progress. So hopefully it was physical and hard hitting, and they fought each other and got pissed off and realized they didn't like getting embarrassed on national TV.
And
but that's only a question they can answer.
Yeah. Yep. We'll find out beginning at 11 a.m. Tomorrow. Verz, as always, appreciate it. Have a good weekend, my friend.
See you, boys.
That's Matt Verzal. Well, everybody says Ohio State's going to come out angry. Buckeye Ross said chippy. He goes, I'm hearing chippy.
Chippy.
I don't know, angry, chippy, whatever your emotion is.
You
got to play. Shafe and Verz have said it back to back. We've said it all week. Got to just do your job. I mean, you have one job. Some guys have more than one. Just do your job. Just do your job. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Joe, stay right there. We'll get to you on the final segment of the week of Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Don't forget, tomorrow we have Big Red Overreaction right after the game, and then we'll lead right into the pregame for the really cool exhibition game downtown between Creighton and Purdue. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back in. Again, ahead of Nebraska and Ohio State, the line is stayed solid at 25.5. Total at 48.5. You can play with the numbers. We'll give our predictions here when we get out of here. But first, here is Joe on a long weekend, a good productive week on the phones. Good morning, Joe.
What is up? How are you guys?
How are you doing?
Hi, Joe.
Man, life is good. I'm super blessed. The other day, I don't do much social media. In fact, I do no social media. But I was on YouTube, and there was a chat going on, and there was a couple of people saying Tony White's system just ain't going to work in the Big Ten. It just ain't going to work. And I can't speak for every Husker fan, but we literally went from how do we keep this guy, pay this guy, whatever he wants, pay him, to now we got to get rid of him. His system doesn't work. And it's just this emotional instability of Husker fans sometimes drives me nuts. Now, yeah, we got beat. We got whooped. At least Verzal's speaking a little bit of reason and rhyme, right? But we went from Dylan Raiola being, well, man, this guy might win a Heisman, to, well, we got to start Heinrich. And it's like, yeah, maybe we do need to start Heinrich. If I knew, man, I'd be rich from gambling on football, but I'm not. So I don't know, but
Joe,
you need to get out of that chat, by the
Joe,
way.
What YouTuber you
Yeah,
have?
you need to get out of that comment room there, buddy.
No, yeah, trust me. I let it be and let them sort of have a internet win, so to speak. So yeah, let them think what they want to think.
Okay. How will your view change tomorrow, if at all?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, we all know what good football is. I don't need to be an expert to know what good football looks like. And we haven't been playing good football. I'm not denying that. But, I don't think they quit on Indiana. I mean, they had a terrible game. I think schematically it was terrible. Assignment duties was terrible. But, I just want to see good football. And so if there's good football from, special teams, if it just looks a little better, I'm good with that. I mean, I know it's a daunting task to beat Ohio State at Ohio State, but I welcome the challenge. Like, let's get after it. Let's do it. Let's play Alabama the week after. I don't care. Let's do it. But good football. I think if I see good football, if we see worse football and I do see quit, well then.
Yeah, you got a lot deeper questions.
Yeah. One thing I sort of think is this is a results-driven league. It's a results-driven sport. I kind of think, and I said earlier, maybe you do need to fire Foley just to send a message to everybody that, like, hey, the money just ain't going to flow. You got to have results on Saturday. Doesn't matter that you practice good on Tuesday. And that goes from the coaches to, the analysts to the players, etc. But that's what I got. Last thing, Husker Wrestling ranked third. I think the first duel is like November 8th, maybe 9th, something like that. It's coming up, so let's go Husker Wrestling.
I already got my tickets to Penn State. The meet.
Do you
Lincoln.
really?
Yep.
Great. I'll see you there.
Hey, Joe, thank you very much. You know what? Let's get Brian. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
Good. Yeah, I was just calling. I'm not expecting Nebraska to do too much this weekend. Hope I'm wrong, but I assume we'll just see them lay down like they normally do. I don't know. It's kind of
Brian. If that happens, it's not. There are so many deeper questions to year 2 of Matt Rule if they lay down for 2 straight weeks.
Well, I'm not so sure there isn't.
All right. No,
I
everything is fair. Everything is fair game when you get beat 56-7 by Indiana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you don't even have a guy that can kick. I mean, there's just a lot of weird. I don't know. That's just me looking at it. And last weekend was kind of the last straw for me. So I don't know. I don't see it turn around, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope we just make a bowl game, but I don't know if that's.
All right, Brian. We'll talk to you on Big Red Overreaction tomorrow.
All right.
Ryan calls Big Red Overreaction a lot.
I think
he's a weekly guy.
You think he'll be one of the first in line?
11:30.
Hey, it's pretty simple. People just want to see good football. Mm-hmm. They want to see Nebraska looks like they're prepared, like they're coached. Everybody understands what they're up against. Mm-hmm.
the bar has been lowered, but that's where we're at. I mean, the reality where Nebraska football is just go out and compete, play hard, don't shoot yourself in the foot. And you know what? Hey, Iowa got beat 35-7, and they're like, oh, whew. I mean, I think Nebraska, there's some things you can't overcome in terms of schematics and personnel. There is the effort that you can overcome. And I think on one side of the ball, the effort and being prepared and being in the right spot and doing your job will be apparent, and that's defense. But how many one-on-one battles are you going to win? And I still think the 45-17 type range or 38-17 still sits with me.
Yeah, and going into last week is what I wanted to see is if you end up losing to Indiana, you at least look like you benefited from the bye week. You look prepared. You look like you had a plan, and Indiana's was just better. If that's the case, it's not 56-7. It looks different than what it does. And you're right. I mean, when you lose a game like that, everything's fair to question. And that's why this game does actually mean something, because of it is how you respond. Now, the score may not always reflect that in a matchup like this. But again, I'm going to say the same thing I said last week of the preparation. Does it look like this is a prepared group? Does it look like that they were able to learn something from that? I'm not naive to think that, well, if they do, then that looks like Nebraska getting the better of Ohio State on the scoreboard. But can Nebraska at any point in this game make Ohio State uncomfortable? Okay, that is where I'm at with this game first and foremost. At the end of the day, my score prediction, I got a 38-7 Ohio State victory.
Oh, that won't go over well when compared to Nebraska, Iowa. Hey,
I'm not even there. I'm glad you brought that up.
Simple victories. Jimmy?
You know what? I really do think they're going to play a lot harder, a lot better, give a lot greater effort. But unfortunately, the bear that they're going up against is going to be too tough. But I do think what you were kind of saying earlier at halftime, you're going to get a little bit of that to where there's some grumblings going on. Like, hey, these guys, they didn't lay down. But Ohio State will wear them down in the second half, win 45-10. And the score won't be indicative of the fact that, yes, they played better, put it behind you the last 4 games and move on.
It's just it's a result of these guys will know how they played. They'll know how they matched up. And even
a lot of pride.
To what we're seeing on the scoreboard, and even in moments if there's a big play busted and everyone's losing their mind over it, how does this team walk away from this game? Because that's the most important part of this season is, unfortunately, that's what you have to put into tomorrow. Is if that game puts you in a place where all of a sudden your confidence is shot, and it's shot for the next few weeks, especially knowing you've got a great opportunity to become bowl eligible with UCLA coming into Lincoln, then a bye week and a chance to, again, reset for the final stretch, again, against teams that none of them are unbeatable. Where are you at as a team with the belief that you can still squeeze as much out of this season when it comes to wins? Tomorrow cannot take that belief and confidence away. If it does, that is not only an L on the scoreboard, but a major L for the season.
We will talk about it after the game. We will watch with all of you because that's what we do. We only get 12 opportunities a year. Hopefully this year we'll get 13. And we'll be on with Big Red Overreaction after the game tomorrow. So when the gun sounds, we'll be on the air. I do want to mention something. And then in this town, he is known by a lot of people because he played at Millard South. And Tony, thanks for sharing something. 1989, March 11, 1989. My good friend and a lot of people that he's touched, and your friend as well, to the game winner for Millard South to cap an undefeated season for then the Indians.
Yep.
His name was Matt Kelly. Some consider March 11, 1989, one of the greatest days of high school basketball ever in Nebraska at the Devaney Center. Last night on our Thursday Night Lights, our good friend Matt Kelly, he was the one that came up with the idea, and it has grown and grown and grown now in its 14th year. And I first met Matt when he was the sports director at KLKN. He took over for Larry Putney. And through him, I met one of my best friends, Dari Noka, and the three of us became lifelong friends. And Matt has come back since he moved out to Las Vegas, recently got married. He has come back and he's worked behind the scenes of the College World Series with the NCAA.
Mm-hmm.
He was back here this summer, was in great spirits. We went and played golf, and he goes, hey, if you can put up with me having a colostomy bag on my hip, I'll play golf with you. So we went and played golf. Matt was doing well. He had 26 different chemotherapy sessions as he was battling stage 4 colon cancer. Got some just awful news about 3 weeks ago, and went into hospice yesterday, never regained consciousness. And unfortunately for all of us that know Matt, Matt passed away early this morning in Las Vegas, surrounded by his wife, who they had been together for a while, but recently had just gotten married. It was a great day. And friends from here in Omaha and elsewhere that were with him. So I just wanted to let everybody know that, because I know a lot of people know Matt either from his time at Millard South or his TV work that he has done in the area. He worked at WOI in Des Moines and then worked at KTV here as well. So I just want to pass that along. Hate to end on a down note, but a lot of people were asking. So have a great weekend, everybody. Be safe. Make memories. Don't forget, live, laugh, and punt. Never changes. We'll have Big Red Reaction coming your way right after the game. Probably, what do you think, Nick? 2:30?
I'm thinking 2:30, yeah.
You bringing drinks?
Actually, yes. I was going to anyway. I got something special for you there, man.
That's awesome. Fridge. All right, thanks to everybody. It was one of those weeks around here we've gone through again. What will Monday, when we're back with you at 6, be like? We'll look forward to that with all of you. For Jimmy, for Nick, I'm Gary. Crossover's coming up next. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone.